Hello, 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 everybody. Good evening. Welcome in. Hello, I'll say hi to everybody. I see that my ad break might be ending. Hello, hello, everybody. Welcome in. Welcome, welcome. Hello, Reaper. Congrats on first. Hello, hello. Hello. Thank you for the hug. Hello, Ira. Thank you very much. I will hydrate and I will posture check. Thank you very much. I got my water. Yeah. And then thank you very much, King, for the lurk. Thank you, thank you. Hello, Pansy. Welcome in. Welcome, welcome. Hello, Ira. Hope you is doing well. I'm trying my best. Friday was a little rough for me. I lost one of my Kami Oshis. He graduated, which was a little sad. So I said Friday was a sad day, but it's okay. Think I'm gonna be okay. It's okay. It's okay. You know, we try and go on and we live life. Thank you very much for the hug, Ira. Thank you very much. I appreciate it. All right, hold on. Hello, Reaper. Thank you for the head pats. The head pat emojis. All right. Let's see. So we finished the Hunger Games last time. And my community on the Discord server, which I am linking here, along with my socials, so you can go ahead and follow me, voted between 3 other choices and this one. So Catching Fire was another choice. So we could have continued with the Hunger Games series. But chat was like, no, no, no. I wish to have you read this book, which is a book titled The Boy Who Sneaks in My Bedroom Window. Now, it might sound sus, it might sound like, you know, stuff's going on, but in fact, it's actually a really sad and ultimately pretty sweet book. So if I'm going to read the back here. Amber Walker and her older brother Jake have an abusive father. One night, her brother's best friend Liam sees her crying and climbs through her bedroom window to comfort her. That one action sparks a love-hate relationship that spans over the next 8 years. Liam is now a confident, flirty player who has never had a girlfriend before. Amber is still emotionally scarred from the abuse she suffered at the hands of her father. Together, they make an unlikely pair. Their relationship has always been a rocky one, but what happens when Amber starts to view her brother's best friend a little differently? And how will her brother, who has already been a little overprotective, react when he finds out that the pair are growing closer? So that's what we got going on for this book today. I'm very sad to let everybody know it is not a sussy book. There is no sussy really in this book, but I think that is actually a really sweet book. Let me double check something. Okay, that's fine, I guess. All right. Sounds sus. It's not sus though. It's the title sounds sus, and I feel like that's why everybody voted for it. But guess what? Sorry to break it to you, not sus. No lose tracking, silly. I just adjusting it. Okay. Why are you so rickety? Hold on. I'm fixing my little tripod. Hold on. Is that better? No? Why are you so unstable? Holy shisa. Is that better? Yeah. Okay. We good now. We fine. Hello, Phantom. Welcome in. Thank you so much. I really appreciate it. It is made by Honey Kudzu on Twitter. It is actually a paid for, I believe it's a customizable model. So she's got a lot of bits and bobs and different things. But it also allows me to have different outfits. So I can have, I can change into this outfit, because this is my traditional form. My other's my magical girl form, which I love. But yeah. So we're going to go ahead and read a book tonight. I hope you guys are excited. Hope you are ready to snuggle in, get comfy, if you're going to bed, climb into bed, cuddle up in your covers. You don't even need to look at me on the screen. You can just set me on your bedside table and leave me unlocked, and you can just listen to me read you a book to send you off to sleep. Now, I know that Reaper is in the European time zone, so I'm actually waking him up with the story. So if you can watch if you want, but it's not a lot of visually happening, is basically what I am trying to say. So, yeah. Thank you very much, Phantom Ollie. Welcome in. Thank you for the first time chat. My name is Azura the Moon Mage. I'm an interdimensional witch being from another universe, sent here to cause chaos, do research, and I play games while I'm at it, as well as read you guys bedtime stories on weekend nights. So tonight, that's what we're doing. All right. We can get started here, but we got to change the music. I got different music. We're going to turn off that music. Let's turn on the other music. Okay. At night, why are you pointing? Don't point gun. Why are you nervous? Nope you. It's okay. Welcome in at night. Let me get my glasses. Okay. And then we're gonna get my book. Give me a second. Okay. Yeah. There we go. All right, you guys. Settle in. It's time. All right. Settle in. Yes. Thank you, Reaper. I'm glad you like it. Let's see. Okay, that's better to adjust my mic because I'm also settling in. Getting comfier so I can tell you guys a story. All right. Thank you, Reaper. All right. The Boy Who Sneaks in My Bedroom Window by Kirsty Mosley. Chapter 1. I sat on the kitchen counter watching my mom make pasta bake. She was panicking slightly and kept glancing at the clock every couple of minutes. I knew why she did this. My dad was due home in exactly 16 minutes, and he liked dinner to be on the table as soon as he got in. Jake wandered in, playing with his Spider-Man figures. "Mom, can I go play at Liam's?" he asked, giving her a puppy dog look. She glanced at the clock again and shook her head quickly. "Not right now, Jakey. Dinner won't be long and we need to eat as a family." She flinched slightly as she spoke. Jake's face fell, but he nodded and came to sit next to me. I immediately snatched the little man out of his hands and laughed as he gasped and snatched it back, smiling and rolling his eyes at me. Thank you so much for the follow. Thank you. Oh, all of those are off. Silly. Thank you for the follow, Phantom. Thank you. Welcome in. I hope you will enjoy yourself. He was a cute kid with blonde hair and gray eyes with flecks of brown in them. He was my older brother, and as big brothers went, he was the best. He always looked after me at school and at home. making sure no one picked on me. The only one that picked on me, as far as he was concerned, was him, and to a lesser extent, his best friend Liam, who happened to live next door. "So, Ams, you need help with your homework?" he asked, nudging his shoulder into mine. Jake was 10 now, 2 years older than me, so he always helped with my schoolwork. "Nope, I didn't get any," I smiled, swinging my legs as they dangled off the counter. "Okay, kids, go set the table for me. You know how. Exactly right, okay?" Mom instructed, sprinkling cheese on the pasta and putting it into the oven. Jake and I jumped down from the counter and grabbed the stuff, heading to the dining room. My dad was extremely particular about everything, and if everything wasn't exactly right, then he got angry. And no one ever wanted that. My mom always said that my dad had a stressful job. He always got easily annoyed if we did anything wrong. If you heard that saying, children should be seen, not heard, well, my dad took that to another extreme. Instead, he liked children shouldn't be seen or heard. At 5:30 every day, he would come home. We would eat dinner straight away, and then Jake and I would be sent to our bedrooms where we would play quietly until 7:30 when we would have to go to bed. I hated this every day. Everything was fine until he came home, and then we all changed. Jake always went quiet and didn't smile. My mom got this look on her face, like fear or worry. "Thank you for the hydrate, Phantom. Thank you. And then hydrate." Thank you. I appreciate it. My mom got this look on her face like fear or worry, and she would start rushing around, plumping the cushions on the sofa. I always stood there and silently wished I could hide in my room and never come out. Jake and I set the table quietly, and then sat down in silence, waiting for the click of the door that signaled he was home. I could feel my stomach fluttering with nerves. My hands started sweating as I prayed in my head that he'd had a good day and we would be normal tonight. Sometimes he would be in a really good mood, and we would hug, kiss me, and tell me what a special little girl I was and how much he loved me. That was usually on a Sunday. My mom and Jake would go to hockey practice when I would be left home with my father. Those Sundays were the worst. I didn't tell anyone about those times, or how he touched me and told me how pretty I was. I hated those days. I wish the weekends would never come. I would much rather it be a school day where we would only see him for dinner time. I definitely would prefer it if he looked at me with angry eyes than when he looked at me with the soft eyes. I don't like that at all. It made me feel uncomfortable. It always made my hands shake. Thankfully, though, today was only Monday, so almost a week before I had to worry about that again. The weekend, not the weekend. The weekend. You're funny at night. A couple of minutes later, he walked in. As Jake's hand closed over mine under the table, he shot me a look that told me to behave. My father had blonde hair, same color as Jake's. He had brown eyes and was always frowning. "Hello, kids," he greeted in his loud, deep voice. A shudder tickled down my spine as he spoke. He set his briefcase on the side and took a seat at the head of the table. I tried not to show any reaction to him. Actually, I tried not to move at all. It always seemed to me that everyone got in trouble or did something wrong. It always seemed to me that it made things worse for everyone. It never used to be like this. I used to be Daddy's little girl, but ever since he started his job 3 years ago, he changed. Our relationship with him changed entirely. He still favored me over Jake, but when it came home from work, it was almost like he wanted to pretend that like Jake and I weren't there. The way he looked at Jake sometimes, it was like he was wishing he didn't exist. It made my stomach hurt to see him look at my brother like that. "Hello, Dad," we both replied at the same time, Just then, my mom came in carrying pasta and a plate of garlic bread. "This looks nice, Margaret," he complimented, smiling. We all started eating in silence, and I tried not to shift on my seat uncomfortably. "How was school, Jake?" he asked my brother. Jake looked up, his eyes widening in apparent surprise. "It was good. Thank you. I tried out for the ice hockey team, and Liam and I were." He started nodding, but my father nodded, not listening. "That's great, son," he interjected. "What about you, Amber?" he asked, turning his gaze on me. "Oh, no. Okay, be polite, don't ramble." "Good, thank you," I replied quietly. "Speak up, child," he shouted. I flinched at his tone, wondering if he was going to hit me. Maybe he was going to send me to bed with no dinner. "It was good, thank you," I repeated a little louder. He frowned at me and then turned to my mom, who was wringing her hands together and chewing her bottom lip. "So, Margaret, what have you been doing today?" he asked, eating his food. She cleared her throat. "Well, I went to the supermarket and got that shampoo you like. Then I did some ironing," she answered quickly. It sounded like a prepared answer. She always did that, had her answers ready so that she wouldn't say anything inappropriate and make him mad. I reached out my hand for my drink, but I wasn't watching properly and knocked it over, spilling the contents on the table. All eyes snapped to my father, who jumped up from his chair. "Shit, Amber, you stupid little bitch," he growled. He grabbed the top of my arm, pulling me roughly from the table. And suddenly my back hit a wall. Pain shot through my back, and I bit my lip to stop from crying. Crying made it worse. He hated crying. He said and only weak people cried. His eyes were hard and angry as he drew his hand back, sneering down at me. I held my breath, waiting for the blow, knowing that there was nothing I could do but take it, the same as always. Almost instantly, my brother jumped up from his chair and threw himself at me, wrapping his arms around me tightly, covering me, his back to our father as he protected me. "Get the hell off her, Jake. She needs to learn to be more careful," my father ranted, grabbing a hold of Jake by his clothes and throwing him on the floor. The palm of my father's hand connected with my cheek. The force of the blow knocked me to the floor, and as my face burned with white-hot pain. Then his attention turned to Jake. His foot made contact with my brother's thigh, making him cry out in agony as he tried to curl into a ball to protect his head. "You don't ever get in my way again, you little shit," he shouted. The silent tears were flowing down my face. I couldn't stand to see him hurt my brother. He was only trying to protect me. Jake always did that. Whenever I got in trouble, he would always provoke my father so that he would take it out on him instead. I whimpered as my father glared at us both in turn before turning and picking up his plate and storming into the lounge. He was muttering something about the worst kids in the world and how the hell did he get stuck with this life. As soon as he was out of the room, I crawled over to my brother and wrapped my arms around him tightly, clinging to him as if my life depended on it. He groaned and pushed himself up to sitting, hugging me back and rubbed his hand across my stinging cheek, hissing through his teeth. "I'm so sorry, Jake. So sorry," I mumbled quietly, crying into his shoulder. He shook his head. "It's all right, Ams. It's not your fault," he croaked, smiling weakly, trying to get to his feet. I jumped up as he wobbled and wrapped my arm around his waist, helping steady him on his injured leg. Movement on my right made me jump as I imagined my father coming back in to cause more harm. But instead, I saw my mother. She was frantically clearing the table and using a paper towel to sop up the water I'd spilled. "Take your dinner to your room and eat, okay?" she instructed, kissing us both on the cheek. She needed to go to my father and do damage control. He would be a rage in there due to my mistake. She needed to calm him down before anything else happened. "I'll see you tomorrow morning. I love you both. Please be quiet and whatever happens, stay in your rooms," she ordered, quickly kissing us again and handing us both our half-eaten dinners before pushing us toward the back hallway. We had a nice house, 4 bedrooms. It was all on one level. My father earned good money, so we lived in a nice area, but I would rather the house be smaller so he wouldn't have to work in his job. Maybe then he would be like the old dad, taking us to a park, buying me toys and candy. Jake came to my room, and we ate in silence, sitting on the floor near my bed. He held my hands tightly as my father started shouting at my mother in the lounge. Something smashed, and I winced, feeling my heart sink. This was entirely my fault. My body was racked with uncontrollable sobs as I imagined what he was doing to my mom in there. Jake's arm slipped around my shoulders, squeezing me against his side. He had always acted so much older than me. He was so much more mature than I was. It's okay. Everything's okay, Ams. Don't worry. He cooed, stroking my hair. Once I had calmed down and the shouting had stopped, we'd played snap cards for a while. We were in the middle of a game when we heard stopping coming up the hallway. Jake's body stiffened as he stared at my bedroom door with wide eyes. Thankfully, though, the footsteps didn't stop, and seconds later, my parents' door closed. I let out a breath I didn't realize I was holding and slumped over, closing my eyes. It was over for the night. I'd better go to my room. It's after 7, Jake muttered, motioning towards the alarm clock that sat at my bedside unit. Lock your door. I'll see you in the morning. He pushed himself up and limped to the door. I stood too, watching as he crept out of my room and across the hall to his own. As he opened his door, he turned and smiled weakly. Lock your door, he mouthed. I nodded, crossed to my room, waving goodbye before I closed my door and locked it. I put an ear to the wood, listening for the telltale click of Jake locking his door too. I once heard the click that signaled he was safe for the night. I turned and ran to my bed, throwing myself down onto it and burying my head into the soft pillow as tears started up again. I had been stupid again tonight. I'd gotten my brother and probably my mom hurt again. As I cried helplessly for the 100th time, I considered running away. But I quickly dismissed that idea, as I always did, because I didn't want to leave Jake here alone with my dad. Deep down, I knew I would never be able to convince him to come home with me, because he would have to leave my mom defenseless. He wouldn't leave my mom defenseless either. We were stuck here at the mercy of a cold, heartless man. Suddenly, there was a scratching, tapping noise on my window. I jerked up, shocked, looking up quickly to see Liam standing outside my bedroom window. He was Jake's friend and had been since we moved into the house 4 years ago. I gasped and jumped up, heading over to it quickly. Panic was setting in because if my father caught him in here, I wasn't sure what he would do. Oh, hold on. This book isn't a hardcover book. Okay, there we go. I didn't want to be responsible for another person getting hurt tonight. I gritted my teeth as I unlocked the window and slid it up, praying it wouldn't squeak or make a sound. Cold, fresh air hit me in the face as I leant out, shaking my head in disbelief. Liam, what are you doing here? You need to go now, I hissed. But the stupid boy just put his hand on my shoulder, pushing me back inside as he cocked his leg up and climbed into my room. My mouth dropped open in shock as I looked back at my bedroom door, panic-stricken. If my father caught him here, he would go crazy. He didn't like Liam to come and play at our house. He'd always said he was too noisy. I looked back at Liam, shaking my head in disbelief. What is he doing? Does he think this is Jake's room instead of mine? Maybe he snuck into the wrong window. Liam and I didn't get on at all, and so I had no idea why he was here now. He seemed to make his ambition to tease the life out of me. He tripped me all the time, pulled my hair, and had the most annoying habit of calling me Angel. He called me it from the moment we met, and it had driven me mad, but he had refused to stop. Liam, get out, I whisper. Hi, Raccoon. Welcome in. Welcome, welcome. I'm reading Starry. I hope you will like. All right. Liam, get out, I whispered, desperately trying to push him back toward the window. He didn't budge. He just wrapped his arms around me tightly and pulled me against his chest. I thrashed, trying to push him away, but he just tightened his hold on me. It's okay, he whispered, stroking my hair. It felt so nice to be comforted again that the tears came back with a vengeance. Liam knew about my father and the abuse that we all went through. Jake had been covered in bruises once and had blurted out the truth to his best friend. Jake and I had both begged him not to say anything, though, and to this day, he never had. I whimpered, angry at myself for crying again, but I couldn't seem to stop. I sniffed loudly, swiping my nose against the back of my hand. I looked up at Liam, seeing he had tears in his blue eyes too, as he just continued to hold me. My chin wobbled as I pulled back to look at him. What are you doing here? I whispered. He sighed, sat down at the edge of my bed, pulling me next to him as he rocked me gently. I saw you through the window, and I just wanted to come and make sure you were all right, he whispered back, still hugging me tightly. I looked back at the window. Liam's room was directly opposite of mine, and I could see into his room, which meant he could see into mine. I bit my lip and nodded as I pressed myself against him, needing the comfort. As I cried into his chest, I realized that he was wearing a Power Rangers t-shirt and matching shorts. I frowned, a little confused as to why he'd be wearing that. It was freezing outside. And then it dawned on me that he was wearing his pajamas, ready for bed. My eyes flicked to the alarm clock, seeing that it was 8:30, and I had been crying for over an hour. After the while, the tears slowed but didn't stop. I'm okay. You need to go, I whispered, pushing him again, trying to get him off my bed. He shook his head firmly. I'm not leaving until you stop crying, he stated. His arms tightened on my waist, and he guided me to lie down on the bed with him. His arms were so tight around me that I couldn't even squirm away an inch. It was nice, though. The firm grip he had on me made me feel safe and protected. I stopped struggling and just gave in, scooting even closer to him, pressing my whole body against him as I sobbed into his chest. I woke up in the morning, still tightly wrapped in his arms. I gasped and looked at the clock. 6:20 a.m. Liam, I whispered, shaking him. What, Mom? He mumbled with his eyes shut. My heart leapt in my throat. Shh, I hissed, quickly covering his mouth before he spoke again. I looked back at the door, waiting for my father to smash in and see Liam in our house. I can't believe we fell asleep. This is so bad. His eyes snapped open, and he looked at me, bewildered. His gaze flickered around my room as he gasped too. Oh no, did I fall asleep? He whispered, sitting up and rubbing a hand through his chocolate brown hair, making it stick up at all angles. You need to go home, quickly, I hissed, grabbing his hand, using all of my might to tug him to his feet. He nodded with wide eyes and ran to the window, sliding it open, throwing his leg over the windowsill. I watched as he climbed out. When he reached up, closed the window for me, I caught his hand and smiled gratefully. Thanks, I whispered. I genuinely needed that hug last night. That was probably the nicest thing that Liam had ever done for me. He smiled back, his sky blue eyes glittering in the morning sun. You're welcome, Angel. He slid the window into place and then turned and jogged across the dew-covered grass and disappeared through the hole in the fence between our two properties. When he appeared again, it was to climb back in through his own window. I smiled and sent him a small wave before closing the drapes and breathing out a sigh of relief that he hadn't been caught. The thought of my father hurting Liam would make my stomach hurt, and we had been extremely lucky not to have been caught. I dreaded to think what would happen if his parents had gone into his room last night and saw his bed empty. What would have happened if I hadn't woken up so early so he could sneak out again? Then we have a time skip, you guys. All right. Here we go. Chapter 2. 8 years later. Time skip, of course. So that makes Amber 16, and it makes Liam and Jake both 18. Just to put it in perspective. I woke up to a familiar sensation of being crushed. I wriggled, pushing my shoulder backward. Liam shifted his weight off of me slightly. He was spooning me from behind, breathing deeply into the back of my hair. His heavy arm draped over me, pinning my arms to my chest as he held my hand tightly. Where his leg was casually slung over mine, I could feel the usual morning glory pushing up against the small of my back. I quickly silenced my phone alarm and elbowed him in the stomach. 6 o'clock, I mumbled quietly, closing my eyes again. He grunted, tightening his hold on me. 10 more minutes, Angel. I'm still tired. Nope, not 10 more minutes. Last time it turned into another hour, and Jake nearly caught you here, I mumbled, elbowing him in the stomach again. He moved his arm and pinned my hands down to the bed near my head in a praying position. Just 10 more minutes, he whined. I sighed and closed my eyes again. There was no arguing with him when he was like this. I didn't have the energy this time of the morning to get into the fight with him. We both drifted back to sleep instantly. Ooh, mistake. You should always just wake up when your alarm goes off. I'm one of those people that if I don't, I will go back to sleep for another hour or two and probably be late to something that I wasn't trying to be late to, you know. Ugh. Amber, you better already be up, my brother shouted, banging on the door. I jerked up and so did Liam. It was almost 7:30. Yeah, I'm already up, Jake, I lied, frowning over my shoulder at Liam, who was rubbing his face, looking a bit dazed. Good, I'm gonna have breakfast. Hurry up. Liam's driving us today, so be ready to leave in 30 minutes. Little does he know. Jake called through the door before stomping off the hall. Jeez, Angel, why didn't you wake me up? Liam accused, yawning and stretching his arms above his head. I raised one eyebrow incredulously. I did, you jerk. You said 10 more minutes and pinned me to the bed to stop me from elbowing you. I growled sarcastically, doing the terrible impression of his voice. He chuckled wickedly and dived for me, pushing me back down onto the bed and pinning my hands above my head as he rolled on top of me. Pinned you to the bed? Were you dreaming about me again? I can make that dream come true for you, he mocked, his face just inches from mine and his blue eyes glittered with mischief. I scoffed and clenched my hands into fists, not giving him the satisfaction of watching me attempt to fight him off. I wasn't in a playful mood today. Yeah, you wish, I retorted sarcastically. Now get the hell off me and go get ready. You're driving today, apparently, I hissed, nodding to the window in a clear signal that he should leave. He sighed heavily and pushed himself off me, pulling on his jeans and his t-shirt without speaking to me again. We rarely had anything pleasant to say to each other, so the silent treatment was nothing unusual. I sit up and watch as he climbed out of the window before sliding back down after himself. I huffed and scowled at my alarm clock, wondering if I had a time for a quick shower before school. Exactly 26 minutes later, I trudged into the kitchen. I scowled as I spotted Liam leaning casually against the counter. His brown hair was messy and his usual just got out of bed look, which, to be honest, he did just get out of bed, and it just looked like that. All he ever did was run his hands a few times and add a bit of styling wax. Okay, sounds good. Thank you, Phantom, for stopping in, and thank you for the follow. Hope to see you back here again soon. He always looked the same as he did every morning, like a freaking supermodel. Low-slung ripped jeans covered his legs, revealed the waistband of his boxers that usually made the girls swoon. Today, he paired his jeans with a white t-shirt that showed off his perfectly sculpted body and an orange and gray checked short sleeve shirt over that, which he wore completely unbuttoned. So it was like, oh, okay, I see the thing we're painting now. His blue eyes were glittering with amusement as he looked down at me and raised a spoonful of the only cereal I liked to his lips. "Running late this morning, Angel?" he asked, smirking. I scowled harder, which made him chuckle. "Shut up, Liam, and why the hell are you eating my cereal again? Don't you have any other food at home?" I snapped, snatching the bowl from his hands and eating the contents before he could protest. Liam smiled, shrugging and kicking his shoe against the floor. Jake threw a juice box in my direction, which I had only just managed to catch before it tumbled to the floor. "You do look a little harassed this morning, Ams. Everything okay?" he asked, looking at me a little concerned. "Slept in," I muttered with a defeated sigh. I gritted my teeth as Liam laughed wickedly behind me. Of course I look harassed. I had a half an hour to get showered and dressed, all because of Liam. But I couldn't tell Jake that, though. Jake had no idea that Liam slept in my room with me every night. If he did, he would go crazy. Jake was extremely protective of me, always had been, and he had gotten worse since my dad had left when I was 13. Well, left wasn't the right word. My brother and Liam had beaten the sorry excuse of a man to a pulp and thrown him out of the house when I was 13 because they came home early and caught my drunken father trying to force himself on me. Jake had finally snapped, and he and Liam had beaten him senseless, almost killing him in the process. So they were both 15 at the time. Interesting. I mean, justice is served, you know. After they'd thrown him out of the house and warned him not to come back, we hadn't seen hide nor hair of him for 3 years. A little while after that, my mom got a job with a large electronics firm. She was a PA to the director, so she traveled a lot. In this last year, she had been gone twice as much as she was home. We only saw her for about a week a month, if that. Jake was my only supervision, although at times it was more like I was taking care of him. Liam was extremely protective of me also, but we still didn't get along, even though he had literally spent every single night wrapped around me in my bed for the last 8 years. He had snuck back into my room the following night after seeing me crying again, and we had ended up falling asleep again. After 2 weeks, it just became a regular thing. It wasn't something we had ever talked about. I just left my window unlocked so he could let himself in once his parents had checked in on him and made sure he was asleep. We had never once been caught in 8 years. We had come close a couple of times, though. A couple of years ago, Liam's mom found his bed empty, but he took the hit and lied and said that he'd snuck out to a party and stayed at a friend's. No one had suspected he was next door with me. He still teased me like crazy and annoyed the life out of me just as much as he did when we were kids. But I always knew that he would be there for me if I needed him. It was as if he had a split personality. By day, he would annoy me, making me crazy and angry all the time. And by night, he was the sweetest boy in the world and would cuddle me and make me feel safe and secure. "You're looking hot today, Angel," Liam stated, looking me up and down slowly with his trademark smirk plastered on his face. I scoffed and placed my bowl in the sink. I knew he was teasing me again to get a reaction. I did not look hot today. My brown hair was still damp because I didn't have time to dry it because of his stupid 10 more minutes. So I had elected to pull it back into a messy bun. I had added the bare minimum makeup, as usual, just a little bit of mascara, and to make my gray-green eyes stand out, and some clear lip gloss. My jeans and hoodie combo did not make me look hot in the slightest. And I waited until Jake wasn't looking, then I flipped Liam the finger and strutted out to his car, leaning against it, waiting for them to grace me with their presence. Thank you, Reaper. Oh, hold on. Oh, itchy, 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 itchy. My nose is itchy. The drive to school was the same as usual. The boys sat in the front talking about football and parties, and I sat in the back listening to my iPod, trying to ignore Liam smirking at me in the mirror. When we pulled into the school parking lot, the car was immediately swamped by people. The same as every morning. Liam and Jake were considered hot players at our school, and they were the seniors in every girl's dream. The boys wanted to be friends with them. The girls wanted to sleep with them. It was sickening. Liam laughed as I cringed getting out of the car, trying to avoid the horde of skanks that banged into me because they were trying to throw themselves at him. One girl elbowed me on purpose. I looked at her in her tiny skirt that looked more like a belt and her top that showed her stomach and grimaced, "Ugh, jeez, she's such a hoe." "Jessica, did you know that you left your skirt at home?" I asked with mock horror. She scowled at me, and I heard Liam and Jake laugh. "What evs? Do you know that emo look doesn't work for you, right?" she retorted spitefully. I chuckled to myself and walked off without answering. It was usual for us to have these type of comments for each other. Jessica had dated Liam for a little while. Well, if you mean dating, by having sex a few times and then getting dropped. She still wasn't over it and wanted him back, much to his disgust. For some reason, she had never liked me. As I got halfway across the parking lot, a heavy arm slung around my shoulder, and I jumped and looked up at Liam. "That wasn't nice, Angel," he chastised playfully. He bent his head close to mine. "Sorry about this morning," he breathed into my ear. I elbowed into the ribs, making him chuckle and pull back. "And ignore Jessica. I think you rock the emo look," he flirted, winking at me. Seemingly out of nowhere, Jake slapped Liam on the back of the head. "Dude, that's my little sister," he scolded, gripping Liam's shirt and pulling him away from me. Liam just laughed and winked at me again, making me roll my eyes. As if on cue, a group of girls from his year called his name. He didn't even say goodbye as he left us and walked straight up to one in the front that had called for him. He smiled at her seductively, causing her to blush as immediately he started flirting with her. "Ew," I muttered, shaking my head and leaving before I witnessed him make his moves on her. I headed into the building, finding my friends leaning against the lockers chatting. "Hey, Kate, Sean, Sarah," I chirped as I walked up to them. "Hey, Amber, did you ride with that hot piece of ass 1 and 2 again?" What? Ew. I'm sorry. One more time. "Hey, Amber, did you ride with hot piece of ass 1 and 2 today?" Again today. Wow, I can't even say that. "Hey, Amber, did you ride with hot piece of ass 1 and 2 again today?" Kate asked, staring dreamily at my brother as he stopped to talk to a friend from the hockey team. I laughed and shook my head. "Nope, just plain old Jake and Liam, same as usual." Kate sighed. "How the hell can you be unaffected by how freaking hot they are? I mean, you're so lucky to live with Jake. I would love to watch his hot ass walk around all day," she purred, fanning her face dramatically. Hello. Welcome in, Howlett. Welcome in. Welcome. None of my sounds are working, and I don't know why. I'll figure it out later. But welcome in, everybody. Welcome in. Welcome. Yes, Yin Raid. Welcome in, Raiders. Let me get you a shout out really quick. Hold on. Gotta put my book down. Hold on. How was Sea of Thieves today? How did everything go? How was stream? How'd it go? Let me know. And then we'll continue reading the book. But let me know how it went. You bought a boat? Fuck yeah, Howie. That's how we do it. Hell yeah. Oh, I'm so sorry. Captain Howie. Can I be first mate? If not first mate, can I be like the cook? I don't know. They call them something special on shifts. I don't know. I can't remember. I mean, I can always try my best, but I'll look into it. But yeah, yeah. I mean, I might. I'm interested. That's at least I'm interested. But yeah, yeah, Azura has done some sailing in her day. So, like I said, I mean, I'm interested. All right, sounds good. Thank you, Howlett. Thank you, thank you. I appreciate it. And welcome in, Raiders. My name is Azura the Moon Mage. I'm an interdimensional witch being from another universe, sent here to cause chaos, do research, and I play games while I'm at it. And tonight, I'm actually reading you guys a bedtime story. So I'm reading The Boy Who Sneaks in My Bedroom Window, which we have just, I think we're in midst of chapter 2 right now. So we're just in the beginning. So if you wanted to sit back and relax, get yourself a little cozy, you can listen to the stories. But if you need to head off, I completely understand. And I appreciate you guys coming in with the raid anyway. But yeah, if any of that sounds like fun to you, please consider giving me a follow. Howlett is one of my really good friends, and I really, I love them to death. I love them to death. They're great. Maybe one day I will be lucky enough to be their first mate. First mate. But we'll see. But yes, welcome in, everybody. Thank you so much. Go ahead, take a seat, and hope. Thank you very much for the lurk, Khaled, and hope that you guys enjoy. We were just in the middle of this main character being real sassy, but that's kind of like regular for me. I'm a little sassy. So I feel like I'm pretty good at figuring this out. I'm just wondering why none of my sounds are working though. For real, real. Like, why would that be happening? I can't remember what I did to fix it last time. What did I do to fix it last time? Man, you guys, I need to write this down. I really need to write this down. Like, not even kidding. I need to write this stuff down. Maybe that was it? I don't know. Here. I got to test. Nope. Still didn't work. Why is that happening? But you guys can hear it, right? But then I can't hear it. Oh, I remember what I did. I remember now. See? It's just, you need to like remind yourself, Because I never have to do this. And it's just so silly. It's so silly, goofy. Okay, I think that fixes it. Let me try one more time. There we go. Okay, now it's ready. Now I know why. Okay, I just need to fix that. But I fixed it. Now I can hear it. You guys could probably hear it, but I couldn't hear it. All right, we're going to go back. Kate sighed. How the hell can you be unaffected by how freaking hot they are? I mean, you're so lucky to live with Jake. I mean, would love to watch his hot ass walk around all day. She purred, fanning her face dramatically. I faked gagged. Kate, that's my brother and his idiot friend. How on earth can you get past their man-whore behavior? Both of them are jerks. I shrugged. I didn't understand why, but every single girl in the school was in love with them both. Jake was a great person, but he treated girls like objects. And Liam, well, Liam was an all-around jerk. Kate grinned wickedly. They're the two best bears. They're the two best players on the hockey team, and they look like sex gods. I wished I could get past it, she said, suggestively, waggling her eyebrows with a grin. I chuckled at her crudity, and she looped her arm through mine, tugging me to my first class of the day. School was good, as usual. I was quite popular due to the fact that my brother and his best friend were the most wanted boys there. They looked after me of sorts, which essentially meant that they warned all of the guys to stay away from me, which actually suited me perfectly because I didn't want to date. Also, most of the girls wanted to be friends so they could just get closer to my brother. The girlfriend wannabes were pretty easy to see through, though. Mostly you could tell if they wanted an introduction by what kind of clothes they were wearing. If they weren't wearing much, then they were after my brother, or Liam. I loved my classes. I was quite popular amongst the teachers, too, because my grades never went below a B. I always did my homework. I was never tardy, and I prided myself on it, though I wasn't a nerd. At lunchtime, I was sat with my friends when I heard the usual whispers and giggles start up. Girls started checking their hair and fixing their makeup, so I knew that my brother and his friends were arriving in the lunchroom. I sighed as Kate and Sarah stared out over my shoulder with doe eyes again. Suddenly, Sarah straightened her in her chair and her eyes widened with excitement. "Oh, yay. Hot piece of ass number 1 is coming over," she giggled, elbowing Kate in the ribs. I rolled my eyes as a hand shot out from behind me, stealing a handful of my fries. "Hey, Angel." Liam breathed down my neck as his other hand reached toward my plate again. I slapped his hand before he could steal any more of my food. "Liam, for goodness sake, go buy your own food, you tight ass," I ranted, scowling at him. He laughed. "Oh, you know you want to share with me," he replied, plopping down and next to me on the bench and shoving me over with his hip. I sighed and moved my plate further from him so he couldn't take my entire lunch. "What do you want?" I asked, defeated. His arm slipped over my shoulder. "Oh, I just wanted to come visit with my girl. I know you've been missing me and not seeing me all morning and all," he replied cockily. My friends were no help at all as they stared at him, all smiles and fluttery eyelashes. I groaned and shrugged his arm off of me. "Will you get your man-whore arm off of me, for goodness sake? I don't want to catch anything," I scolded. He chuckled again. "Don't be like that, Angel," he cooed. "Anyway, I just wanted to let you know I'll be driving you home today. Your brother has a date, so..." He trailed off, smirking at me. "Great, just great. He's driving me home. Fantastic." He always made the drive home as long as possible just to annoy the life out of me. Then he insisted on waiting at my house until my brother came home, which meant I had to cook for him too. "That's great, Liam. Run along now. I'm sure you have some more STDs to spread around." I grunted, waving his hand off in a buzz-off gesture. He laughed and kissed me on the cheek as he stood up. "Pretend all you want, Angel. We both know that you'll be wanting me to sleep with you tonight." He winked at me slyly, giving me what he said a double meaning. I prayed that no one else picked up on it. "Of course I will, because I'm so in love with you." I sighed, rolling my eyes and rubbing my cheek where he kissed me. "I love you too." He smirked at me as he walked off to the same girl from this morning. He slipped his arm over her shoulder and his dirty, slutty lips lowered onto hers. Ugh. I frowned and looked away back to my friends when he started making out with her in the middle of the lunchroom. Ugh. What? No, it's not. But chat voted for this, so I'm reading it. Sylvia. Welcome in. It's called "The Boy Who Sneaks in My Bedroom Window." It's actually kind of sad. I'm not going to lie. It's really colorful, sassy commentary, which I love. 5 for 5. I want to go 6 for 6. Sounds good. I think you could do it. It is sad. It's about a family, a brother and sister pair who had an abusive father and kind of how they coped with that and stuff like that. But yeah, the sister's kind of sassy, which I like. That's probably why I like this book and why I bought it in the first place. But yeah, I think my commentary is funny. Yeah, it's really sad, but it's kind of cute. There's a lot, it's a sad like setting, but like happiness comes out of it. Don't worry about it. Don't worry about it. We already read a lot of the abusive parts already, actually. Luckily, it's most of it's over for now, which is good. So, woo. Kate and Sarah and half the girls in the room were staring after him lustfully. Jeez, that guy's so freaking annoying. Why can't my brother just choose a nice best friend? Someone who isn't an arrogant, self obsessed asshole, I ranted, throwing my hands up in exasperation. Oh, hey. Welcome back. If you say don't worry about it, we good then. Yeah, don't worry about it. Later on in the book, like we've got a lot more pages until it comes up again. But yeah, mostly now it's just a lot of playful banter and sassy, which I like. Sarah propped her head up and sighed. Stop whining. Liam James just had his arm around you and kissed you on the cheek. I would give anything for those sweet lips to be on me, she said wistfully. I chuckled and shook my head about how he had everyone under his spell. Whatever. Come on. Let's get to our next class, I suggested as we pick up our trays and head out. After school, I reluctantly made my way to the parking lot, where a smirking Liam was leaning against his car, waiting for me. Hey, beautiful, he greeted, winking, and opening the passenger door for me. Hi. I climbed into his car, already annoyed with his flirtatious attitude. If Jake had been here, he would have slapped him for that remark. He climbed in next to me. So I just need to stop by the store on the way back. He put his car into drive and pulled out of the parking lot. Great, I mumbled. I decided to look out my window and ignore him. I was still annoyed with him for the whole 10 minutes thing this morning. He pulled into the parking lot of the store a few minutes later. Come on, Angel, he instructed, swinging his long legs out of the car. I folded my arms over my chest and shook my head. He didn't say anything. He just slammed his door and walked slowly around to my side, opening my door for me. Come on, Angel, he repeated, holding his hand out for me. I rolled my eyes again. It doesn't take two of us to go in. I'll wait here. I countered. He reached into the car and picked me up easily, slinging me over his shoulder, laughing. He kicked the door shut and walked toward the store. Put me the hell down, asshole! I shouted, slapping his back. He laughed at my meager attempts to get down and continued walking. Once we were in the store, he finally set me on my feet. I looked around, embarrassed, checking to see if anybody if anyone saw that, but it appeared that they didn't. He reached his hand out and tucked some of my loose hair behind my ear, his finger lingering on my cheek. I slapped his hand away from my face and looked at him angrily. That was so embarrassing, I hissed. What's the problem? Most girls would love for me to do that to them, he replied, shrugging off and walking toward the magazines. I stomped my foot and then instantly blushed because I just stomped like a child. Thankfully, Liam wasn't watching, otherwise I would never hear the end of it. He grabbed a sports magazine and a bar of chocolate and stalked off toward the counter to pay. I was happily flicking through a teen Vogue when two boys walked over to me. I stiffened. Well, hello there, one of them purred. I nodded in acknowledgement and put the magazine back, walking off quickly to find Liam. Hey, where are you going? The other guy asked, grabbing my hand before I could make my escape. My heart started to race as I looked around frantically. I'm looking for my boyfriend, I lied, trying to sound confident. That's something I would say. That's something I would say. See, this is why I like it so much. Boyfriend? I don't see a boyfriend, the other guy replied, raising one eyebrow. How about we go somewhere and get to know each other better? The boy who was holding my hand offered, pulling me toward him slightly. I felt sick. Oh, God, Liam, help me, please. Deep down, I knew I was pathetic, but I just hated confrontation. No, it's not. They're about to get beat up. they about to get beat the fuck up. And I hated people touching me, especially people I didn't know. Hey, Angel, Liam said, stepping to my side, narrowing his eyes at the two guys that stood there. The one that was holding my wrist immediately dropped it and stepped back. I moved closer to Liam's side and pressed into him so hard it actually hurt. I hope you guys weren't hitting on my girl, he said casually, but I could hear the anger in his tone. Liam was always protective of me. One time a boy pushed me over into a puddle when I was 7, and Liam went straight around to the boy's house and punched him in the face. Oh, okay. No way, man. We were just talking. That's all. The guy replied, holding his hands up innocently. Liam nodded, looping his arms around my waist. That's good. Come on then, Angel. Let's get you home. He guided me toward the door, looking over his shoulder as his jaws tightened. Once we were outside, he turned to look at me. You okay? He asked, cupping my face in his hands. Wait, that's actually so sweet. Sorry. I nodded and smiled at him gratefully. Thanks, I muttered. I was actually all right now that he was at my side. My heart had stopped trying to break out of his chest, from my chest, as soon as I heard his voice. He smiled and stepped to his car, opening the door and waiting until I was in before he closed it and strutted over to the driver's side. While I was fastening my seatbelt, he tossed something in my lap. I couldn't help but smile when I looked down and see my favorite type of chocolate sitting on my thigh. Thank you. He was always doing sweet things like buying me candy, and it was just a shame that he's such a man-whore jerk. Otherwise, he'd probably be a nice guy. Yeah, nobody got beat up, sorry. Sorry to disappoint you, Sylvia. Nobody got beat up. When I got to my house, I went straight to work. I made a lasagna for dinner. Liam hovered around the kitchen behind me, making me feel violated as he stared at my body. For goodness sake, my eyes are up here, I snapped angrily, pointing to my face. He chuckled wickedly, leaning against the kitchen counter. Whoa, you really are in a bad mood with me today, huh? He teased. Yeah, I am. I can't believe you this morning. I hate rushing around. I looked and felt like crud all day, I replied acidly. He shrugged, picking up a pinch of grated cheese that was left on the plate I was using. I think you looked hot all day, he countered, popping it into his mouth. Ugh, can you just stop talking to me? I'm not in the mood. What famous line? I don't know what that is. I don't know. I don't know, maybe. Is there a famous line? I don't recall there being a famous line. Hello. Hello, Pain Vinji. My eyes are up here. Oh, yeah. Yeah. Yeah, she did say that. AKA catching someone looking at the boobs. Yes, at the booba. I threw the food in the oven and started to chop up some salad. Fine. Whatever. He shrugged again and came to stand next to me, helping me chop the salad stuff. He was standing so close to me that I could feel the heat radiating from his body to mine. It was strangely calming. When I was done, I put the bowl of salad into the fridge. I'm going to start my homework. That lasagna should be done in a half an hour. I suppose you're staying for dinner. I do not speak Russian. I'm so sorry. I think I only know one phrase, and I learned it because I wanted to say that I was a Russian spy from the KGB, just to like freak people out, because it was funny. Привет. Меня зовут Наташа Барышникова, русский шпион. Something like that. Sorry. I do not speak Russian, but I do know how to speak that one line. I think it's Привет. Yes, Привет. Welcome or hello. Привет. That's all I know. Koshka. Ah. Okay. Da. When I was done, I put a bowl of salad into the fridge. I'm going to start my homework. That lasagna will be done in a half an hour. I suppose you're staying for dinner, I stated. It wasn't a question. I knew he would. I was not sure whether Jake asked him to stay with me when he was out, but Liam always did anyway. Wait, it's a swear word? Aw, dang it. I thought it was a good word. Sad. It's okay. Don't worry, I like swearing, but I'd rather not know the only thing in that language. But yes, hello, welcome in. Thank you for the first time chat. We are reading a story. I hope you're excited. Oh, I believe you. I don't know any Japanese swear words. I only know some Japanese words. Mizu, that's water. Neko, that's cat. I know more, I swear. Konnichiwa. Sumimasen. Arigato or arigato gozaimasu. Oh, that's about it. Like, I can say bye. Sayonara. I know how to answer the phone. Moshi moshi. All right, I'm going to go back. Sorry, I'm getting distracted. Sure. Seeing as you asked me so nicely. What? No, that's in katakana. I can't read that. If you could spell it out in Romaji, maybe. What is that in Romaji? Sure, seeing as you asked so nicely, he smirked. I wasn't asking, I growled sarcastically as I turned to walk off. Before I could get more than 2 steps away, his hand closed over my wrist and pulled me to a stop. Hikari? I've heard it, but I've heard it is light. Oh, hikari. Hikari means light? Okay, good to know. Thank you, Sylvia. Before I could get more than 2 steps away, his hand closed over my wrist and he pulled me to a stop. He stepped closer to me, blocking my path to the hallway. He was so close that my chest was touching his. I could feel his breath blowing across my face. Angel, I'm so sorry about this morning. I really am. Please stop being all bitchy to me. It doesn't suit you, he said quietly. I took a deep breath because that was the nice nighttime voice he used, rather than the cocky one I was usually subjected to at this time of day. Okay. Yeah, I'm sorry too. I guess I have been horrible to you all day today, I admitted. I dropped my gaze to the floor, not wanting to meet his beautiful sky blue eyes. He cocked his head to the sky and his head to the side and let go of my wrist. So, am I forgiven? An unwelcome smile crept onto my lips. I actually liked this Liam. He was the one that looked after me at night. He was different when we were on our own. He pouted playfully, and I felt my will to hate him crumble. Yeah, you're forgiven, I agreed, rolling my eyes and stepping to the side to get some distance between us. I'm going to go do my homework before dinner. For some reason, it felt weird being close to him like that. Even a few seconds later, I could still feel the tingles of electricity flowing through my hand where he had held it. I could still smell his sweet breath that had blown across my face. I had no idea what had suddenly made me feel so awkward. Confused, I shook my head and I walked away quickly, heading to my bedroom so I could make a start on my homework. After we had eaten dinner in silence, I finished my homework, and it was only 8:30, so Liam decided to put on a movie. He put on The Final Destination, and we sat on the couch watching it. The uncomfortable awkwardness was back, but I couldn't work out why. I was just sitting next to him, same as usual, but something felt off. Although, throughout the movie, I kept stealing little glances at him, trying to work out why there was a strange atmosphere around him tonight. He clearly didn't feel it, though. He just sat there, watching the TV screen with interest, one leg folded over the other, his arms casually slung over the back of the sofa where I was sitting. Apparently, it was just me that felt a little hot and nervous. A little hot and nervous, huh? Okay. When the credits start to roll up, I stifled a yawn. I think I'm going to go to bed. I'm pretty tired, I murmured, getting up and stretching like a cat. When I looked back at him, I noticed he was watching me intently. His bottom lip was between his teeth, and his eyes narrowed as his gaze seemed to be firmly latched on my chest. Come on, bro. Stop looking at the boob. I cleared my throat dramatically because he hadn't moved. He blinked a couple of times before his mouth popped open as if he was coming out of a daze. No idea where he was. Oh, right, yeah. Okay, I'll just shoot home then, and I'll be back in like 30 minutes. He finally agreed, standing up. Yay. Oh, good. I'm glad, Sylvia. Sounds good. That sounds good. That sounds fun. I nodded and followed him to the front door, closing it behind him and locking it. Once I was alone, I headed to my room, changing into a tank top and shorts before brushing my hair and teeth, and then slipping into bed. Even though it was only a single bed, it felt too big for me. I couldn't get comfortable as I wriggled and tried to get warm in the cool sheets. After about 20 minutes or so, my window into my room slid up and then down again. Clothes dropped to the floor carelessly, and then the bed dipped behind me. The heat from Liam's body hit me in droves. You let me know how that goes for you. I'm not going to freak out too much because I love my boys, but I got to continue reading the book. Hey, you asleep? He whispered, scooting right up behind me. No, not yet, I mumbled. I lifted my head so he could put one arm around my neck. He pressed his chest right up against my back, and I wrapped his other arm around me, throwing his leg over mine. I wriggled backwards to get closer to him. Feeling the skin of his bare stomach touch the small of my back where my top didn't meet my shorts. I smiled happily and closed my eyes, finally ready to sleep. The bed never felt right until Liam was in it with me. I pulled his arms around me tighter and pressed my face into his arm. The smell of his skin was incredible. My nightly ritual was to breathe him in until I fell into slumber. He sighed deeply into the back of my hair, and I frowned because it seemed a little tenser than usual. Something wrong? I inquired. No, I'm just tired, that's all, he mumbled against the back of my head. Okay. Good night, Liam. What? Thank you for the little bonk, Ollie. I turned my head to the side and kissed the skin on the inside of his elbow. A soft kiss was planted on the back of my head, making my scalp prickle with sensation. Good night, Angel. He never calls her by her name. I get it, but maybe he I don't know. We hear about what it is later. All right. Chapter 3. I woke up at 6 o'clock as usual to my alarm going off. Right? Yeah. Her name is Amber, by the way. I feel like I don't know. Yeah, so her name is Amber. Jake, her brother, calls her Amber. Everybody else calls her Amber, except for Liam. Calls her Angel. You know? All right. I woke at 6 o'clock. Oh, chapter 3. I woke at 6 o'clock, as usual, to my alarm going off. I silenced it and tried unsuccessfully to move away from Liam. I had my head on his chest and my leg draped over his crotch was as usual, which was already, you know, had the thing happen that happens to all the boys in the morning. He had his hand on my knee, pinning my leg there, and my other arm wrapped tightly around my waist. It already happened before. No, Liam is the brother's best friend. So basically, what you missed is that brother's best friend saw her. So his window faces her window, like her bedroom window. And one night when she was 8 years old, her dad had been particularly nasty, and she was like crying, sobbing, and he like saw her crying from his window and decided to like, basically go in and comfort her, and ended up falling asleep there that one night, and then it just kind of became a thing, and they and they had this happen and continued happening for 8 years. So he grew up, like he was 10, she was 8, and then he grew into being puberty and stuff like that. But like it's actually a really sweet thing. So he's like a split personality. He's like such a fucking cocky man whore jerk during the day, but at night he's like really sweet and like buys her chocolate and like says really sweet things. Like to be honest, I think the man whore thing's a facade, if I remember correctly. I think he's just trying to get her attention, and he's kind of terrible at it. As I tried to move, he's tightened his hold, mumbled something in his sleep about not wanting to go to college anymore. I moved my arm and tapped his stomach. 6 o'clock, I mumbled, tapping him again when he didn't open his eyes. He groaned, tightened his grip, pulling me so that I was completely on top of him. I grunted and tried to wiggle free, but he had clamped me tightly to his chest. I could barely breathe because he was holding so tight. Frowning, I pinched his arm. Liam! I hissed angrily. He snapped his eyes open and looked at me shocked. His expression quickly changed to his trademark smirk. Fucking asshole. I wanted to slap it right off his face, but he's clearly amused at the position we were in. Well, good morning, Angel. Wow, this is a first, he purred, raising his eyebrows suggestively. I wriggled again and cringed as we rubbed together in intimate places, blech, that I would rather not think about my brother's man whore of a best friend touching me. Will you let go of me, for goodness sake? I snapped, quietly, not wanting Jake to hear me. When he raised his hands in surrender, I quickly rolled off him. It's 6, I grumbled, frowning. He sighed, rolled to his side to look at me. Okay, don't be mad at me all day, please. I didn't know I did that. I'm sorry, all right? He bent and kissed my forehead softly before pushing himself off the bed to collect his clothes off the floor. Okay, whatever. They don't. Not yet. Not yet anyway. No, they actually haven't. He's just like kind of like a teenage boy that wants like, that kind of thing all the time. No, I think he wants it. I think she like genuinely is kind of like, he's kind of gross, Yeah, no, it's foreshadowing for sure. Yeah, it's foreshadowing. I feel like they might. I feel like stuff might be happening, like later on in the book. But yeah, definitely foreshadowing, Okay, whatever, I griped, snuggling into his warm spot on the bed where he'd been laying. I'll see you later. He shot me a wink before climbing out the window, still tugging on his sweater. Rolling over, I buried my face into his pillow. I could still smell him, and it made me feel safe and calm. I drifted back to a peaceful sleep for another hour. After getting dressed more peacefully than yesterday, I stuck in my iPod and was happily dancing down the hallway when I spotted him eating my cereal again. Ugh, every freaking day! I sighed. I stole the bowl out of his hands. Damn it, Liam! There's 4 other cereals in the cupboard, yet you only eat mine. Why? Do you do it just to piss me off? I ranted, frowning as I started munching on my breakfast. An amused smile graced his full lips. Well, good morning to you, too. Right. Hi. I plopped down and ate my cereal as Jake came into the kitchen. Hey, you guys nearly ready to go? Jake asked, biting into an apple. Liam nodded. So I scarfed down the last of my breakfast and set the bowl in the sink, running to catch up with them as they left the house. After the usual fight to get out of the car, without being knocked on my butt by a load of desperate girls, I headed toward the front entrance of the school. Just as I got to the front steps, Sean grabbed me and pulled me off to one side. I frowned at his appearance. He actually looked frantic. His hair was all messy. It looked as if he had been pulling on it or running his hands through it a lot. His eyes were tight with stress. What's up? I asked, worriedly. He groaned. I forgot it's Terry's birthday tomorrow, and I have no idea what to get her, he cried desperately, running his hands through his hair roughly, confirming my earlier suspicion about the style. I smiled and relaxed because it wasn't anything majorly wrong. Calm down. You still got time. Now, what sort of thing does she like? I asked, already thinking about Terry and all the things I knew about her. I wanted to get her something she could keep, but I don't know what. He closed his eyes, obviously panicking. I placed my hand on his arm. Sean, calm down. How about some pretty earrings? She likes studs. You could get her a new jewelry box or something to put them in, I suggested. His face brightened. Yeah, she has this old crummy jewelry box at the moment. That's a great idea. Ah, man, thank you, Amber. I owe you big time. I'm going to skip this morning so I can go and get it, he chirped, smiled excitedly, and ran off, shouting bye over his shoulder. I chuckled, and I wondered if I'd ever be able to have that kind of normal boy-girl relationship that other people took for granted. I didn't think I ever could, though. As I turned on my heel and marched toward the school hallway, I noticed that there were no people around. My eyes widened in alarm. Was I late? Panic made my steps turn into a run as I sped toward my first class. Rounding around the corner at the end of the hallway was Liam and a couple of his friends, and I could see the smirk on his face and the teasing glint in his eye from 50 feet away. Slow down, Angel, you'll fall, he called teasingly as I half ran, half walked towards him. I ignored him and carried on. But as I got to level with him, he stuck his foot out, tripping me up. I squealed and closed my eyes as I plummeted forward. Before I hit the ground, his arms wrapped around my waist and pulled me upright. Geez, I know I'm hot, but you don't need to fall at my feet, he teased. His friends all laughed as I glared at him and slapped his chest. His teasing smile grew larger. Oh, I like it a bit rough, Angel. You know that. I gasped and wriggled, opening my mouth to cuss him out or threaten to tell my brother, but before I could say the words, his hand slipped down my back and came to rest on my butt. Nice. Ooh, you bitch. That's what I'm saying. This bitch. My breath caught in my throat as memories of my father surfaced, of the breath on my neck and his hands on my body, and he told me how special I was. I whimpered, and before I could think about what I was doing, I jerked my knee up forcefully. Liam grunted and let go of me immediately as my knee connected with his groin. That's right, bitch. She fucking he got a fucking knee to the groin. That's what he deserved. All right, let's see. I was routed to the floor as he stepped back and bent in half, clutching his privates as he made a guttural sound from the back of his throat. My chin wobbled as my skin crawled as my father's hard brown eyes seemed to be all I could think about. Keep your hands off me, I whimpered weakly, shaking my head, hating that I wanted to curl in the ball and hide. I needed to leave. I needed to get away and run just as far as I could. I turned on my heel as the tears finally started falling, but before I even managed to take a step, though, Liam's hand folded over mine as he held me firmly on the spot. Angel, don't go. I'm really sorry. He croaked. He tugged on my hand as I looked back at him. He was just straightening up. His free hand was still firmly cupping his crown jewels, though. I was only joking around. You know I'd never hurt you. His voice cracked as he spoke. He looked straight into my eyes, and I could see the honesty in the deep, watery blue eyes. Blue, watery eyes. Other way. I'm sorry. My breathing was getting shallower and shallower as I stood there, bombarded by that helpless, hopeless feeling that consumed me all those Sundays. Liam shook his head and hobbled closer to me, pulling me into a hug and pressing his lips to the base of my neck. He breathed deeply through his nose, sending his breath blowing down my neck and under the collar of my shirt. I whimpered and closed my eyes. This is what Liam would always do to calm me down. When I would sob into his shoulder, this was the only thing that seemed to work. Yeah, he definitely fucking pissed her. He also sent her into a panic attack, if I'm not mistaken. Because I'm fairly certain this girl has PTSD, and he just triggered it heavily. I listened to his breathing and tried desperately to match my own to the pace of it, so that I could get my heart rate under control. His smell filled my lungs as I stepped closer to him, pressing my body against his. I had no idea how long we stood there like that before I had calmed down enough to pull back, before I finally managed. Yeah. He smiled down at me guiltily. I could see how awful he felt for upsetting me. I'm sorry. I shouldn't have done that. I didn't think. He cooed apologetically. I nodded and sniffed, wiping my face on my sleeve. I knew he hadn't meant to frighten me. Technically, it wasn't his fault that I was such an emotional wreck that I couldn't have anyone touch me without images of my father coming back to haunt me. Yeah. I'm sorry. Did I hurt you? I asked, wincing at the thought of how hard I'd need him. He shrugged. I'm okay. It was my own fault. See, he gets it. He bent his knees, looking me in the eyes again. I looked away uncomfortably. I had that feeling. I had a feeling that when Liam looked me into the eyes, he could see the real me, the one I tried to hide from everyone. The scared little girl that didn't like people to touch her because it brought back memories of those Sundays, my father leading me over to the couch and guiding me to sit on his lap where he touched me, even girls. My heart went into overdrive. I always started to feel nauseous. Oh, yeah, maybe. Can you copy what I put in the pinned comment and put a trigger warning? That was my bad. That was my bad. We could also, I don't know, can I change that? Can I change it? Yeah, I updated it with sexual themes. Because there are themes, I guess. The vulgarity isn't a lot. It's not significant. So I'm just going to say sexual themes. Sorry. I looked away uncomfortably. I had the feeling that when Liam looked into my eyes, he could see the real me, the one I tried to hide from everyone. The scared little girl that didn't like people to touch her because it brought back memories of those Sundays, and my father leading me over to the couch, guiding me to sit on his lap. When people touched me, even girls, my heart went into overdrive, and I always started to feel nauseous. The only exceptions to this were my mom, Jake, and Liam. This was the reason that I didn't date. The thought of someone touching me or kissing me made my skin crawl. Thank you. Thank you, Celia. Appreciate it. My gaze fell on his shoulder, seeing the large wet patch that I had been crying on him. I wiped it, frowning. I ruined your shirt. I've got others, Angel. Don't worry. He replied with an easy smile. It wasn't a smirk that he gave other people. It was a genuine smile. One of the ones I usually got at night or when no one was around. I looked around and realized we were alone in the hallway. I gasped in shock. Where? I muttered, looking up and down the hallway. They went to class, he answered. Come on. There's no point in going in late. So let's go get a drink or something. His grip tightened on my hand as he tugged me back down the hallway toward the front entrance again. As we stepped out the front doors, I realized that he was actually leading me toward his car. Liam, I can't skip class, I cried, glancing around quickly to see if anyone had noticed 2 students just waltzing out the building. He laughed. Come on, one class won't hurt. You're already 10 minutes late for it anyway. He opened up the passenger door and gestured for me to get him. I sighed and reluctantly climbed in, knowing he was right. Going into class tardy was way worse than not going in at all at our school. I didn't really mind spending time with Liam. It just depended which Liam would be here with me, the night one or the day one. Night Liam was considerate, caring, and thoughtful. Day Liam was a flirt, a slut, and a jerk. However, both night and day Liam made me feel safe and protected. As we pulled out of the parking lot, I scooted down in my seat in case anyone chose that moment to look out of the window and saw me leaving. When we were safely away, I looked at him while we drove. He was smiling to himself, humming along to the radio. What's up with you? I asked, a bit concerned that he was going to turn some sort of, a bit concerned this was going to turn into some sort of joke that would end badly for me or embarrass me. What do you mean? I can't be happier spending some time together? He said, winking playfully. I rolled my eyes and groaned. Great. An hour with daytime Liam is my worst nightmare. I wasn't paying attention to where we were going. I was surprised when we pulled into the parking lot for the ice rink. Liam grinned and I climbed out. I followed him with a frown. What are we doing here? I asked as he grabbed my hand and pulled me inside. Maybe they have a good cafe inside or something? That was the only reason I could think for him to bring me here. He ignored my question. Hi, 2 please, he said to the lady behind the counter, sliding a 20 across the counter to her. I gasped as my eyes widened in horror. I had been skating a few times in my life, but I was downright terrible at it. You need a skate hire? The lady asked, letting her eyes rake over Liam's body discreetly. Ooh. He nodded, instantly telling the lady both of our shoe sizes. I just stood there, dumbstruck, as I wondered how on earth he knew my shoe size. She passed him 2 sets of skates, smiling and looking at him through her eyelashes. Liam didn't seem to notice, though, as he grinned happily and smiled at me excitedly. Come on, then. He walked off toward the benches without waiting for me. As I contemplated running so that I didn't have to do this, my gaze fell on the lady at the counter. She was watching Liam as he walked away. Her eyes narrowed appreciatively. Angel, you coming or what? Liam called from behind me. I sighed and nodded, turning and walking over to him deliberately slowly, hoping to waste some more time so I wouldn't have to go on that ice. When I got to his side, I nodded over to my shoulder to the lady that was sure to be watching him still. You've got another fan, I stated. You can't just help yourself, can you? I teased, smiled weakly as I looked at the giant oval rink in front of me. He chuckled and stepping to my side and placing a hand on the small of my back. Don't worry, I'm not interested in her, he replied. I scoffed and turned back to him, taking the skates out of his hand. I wasn't worried, I replied, rolling my eyes. His lips pressed into a thin line as he nodded. Put those on then, he instructed, nodding to my skates. I groaned in protest, but did as I was told, letting him go and store our shoes in the locker off to the side. Panic was setting in as I walked toward the entrance of the ice. No one else was skating at the time, luckily for me. That meant I wouldn't embarrass myself in front of too many people. As he stepped off the carpet and onto the ice, I winced. Why are we doing this? You know I can't skate. He grinned and took hold of both my hands, giving me a little tug, so I had to step forward. Oh!
Thank you, Sylvia.
Thank you. Tick, tick, boom. And it's the Barnes & Noble exclusive. Hell yeah. Thank you so much, Sylvia. That's so kind. I appreciate it. Thank you so much. Mwah. Thank you. Thank you. Mwah. You know what I'll do? I'll open it and I'll have to send you what I pull. I'll see. I'll show you what I pull. Don't worry. You'll know. I also have lots of trades. So if you want any of the boys, I have all of them, but from various comebacks. So I'll show you later. But sorry, I'm going to continue. He grinned and took hold of both of my hands, giving me a little tug, so I had to step forward. Thank you. I know, I remember. Don't worry, I'll help you. Liam and my brother played ice hockey for the school. Jake was the goalkeeper and Liam was the striker. They had been skating for years. Thank you for the head pats, raccoon. Thank you, thank you. But I had never been able to do it. I loved to watch people skate and always wished I could learn, but I literally couldn't stand up. As soon as my feet were on the ice, I slipped and slid all over the place. A little squeal left my lips as I looked back at the benches off the side, longingly. Liam's grip tightened on my hands as he started skating backwards, guiding me along. You're bending your ankles in slightly, Angel. Try and keep them straight. That's why you have no control, he stated, looking at my feet. Following his instruction, I stood straighter. Almost instantly, I felt my feet slide out from under me. I gasped, knowing I was going to fall. Liam's arms looped around my waist as he leant backwards so that we both fell, instead of just me. He hit the ground with a small grunt, and I landed on top of him. He chuckled underneath me as I smiled apologetically. Sorry. A blush crept across my cheeks as I pushed myself up, straddling him for a second before carefully maneuvering to the side so I was sitting on the ice. I didn't bother trying to get up on my own. I just waited for him to get up first so that he could help me. It sounds like she needs a chair or like one of those like things they give to kids so they can skate, you know what I mean? He got to his feet effortlessly and held down both hands to me. Okay, attempt number 2, he smiled, pulling me to my feet easily. Stand up straight, keep your feet still, and I'll pull you around until you get your balance. He kicked at my skates gently, nudging them to get them closer together as he gripped my hands tightly. This time, I managed to stand my feet for a while before losing my balance. Again, he grabbed me around the waist and leant back so I fell on top of him. Why do you keep doing that? I asked, frowning, pushing myself up into a seating position. As I sat on the ice, I watched him get to his feet. I could feel the ice start to wet the back of my jeans. I shivered, wishing I had worn something a little warmer today. How did you know you were going to go ice skating, my girl? You didn't. Doing what? He asked, cocking his head to the side curiously, holding his hands out to me again. I placed my hands into his and braced my feet against his skates so that I wouldn't just slide when he pulled me. Every time I start to fall, you make yourself fall backwards so I land on top of you. You're going to hurt yourself, I explained. He shrugged. Rather me than you, he mumbled under his breath, pulling me to my feet again. I just stared at him, confused. Did he just say that? Maybe I heard him wrong. You're getting better. You lasted at least a minute that last time, he teased with his trademark smirk. I smiled. Okay, that's more like the Liam. I know. I just heard him wrong, that's all. Ha ha. Well, a minute is good for me. You know I can't do this, I grumbled, instantly falling again. He managed to hold me up this time by gripping my hips and pressing our bodies together and lifting me up off the ice so I could get my footing back from scratch. My heart started racing in my chest, but it wasn't because of the usual fear of someone touching me. It was something else that I couldn't understand. I dropped my eyes to the floor and wondering what has come over me lately. Why are you blushing? He asked, frowning at me, but looking amused at the same time. Oh man, am I blushing? How embarrassing. I'm not. It's just cold. That's all. My ass is frozen, I think. I turned my hips to show him my wet jeans, rubbing my behind roughly to show, to try and get some of the cold away. He sucked in a deep breath and let out a sigh. I looked up at him in time to see him frowning with his eyes closed. You okay? I asked, still rubbing my behind. He nodded and shrugged out of his shirt, standing there with just the low-slung jeans and a tight t-shirt that he had showed up his muscles underneath. He put his shirt around my waist and tied it in a knot in the front. What are you doing? You'll get cold, as I scolded as my fingers got to work on the knot, trying to untie it again. He shook his head, pulling my hands away from it. Don't worry. I'll be fine. Next time, I'll bring a spare sweater for your mighty fine ass, he replied cockily. I mean, she probably has she has a fun ass. Yeah, probably. I raised one eyebrow. Next time? Today was confusing me more and more by the second. I was actually having a nice time here with Liam. He seemed different somehow. It shocked me to realize I was actually enjoying spending time with him. That's it. You're getting it, he cooed as he pulled me along slowly, which of course made me lose my balance again. I pushed myself off of him for a third time, laughing hysterically. Okay, this is really fun. And it doesn't hurt, I mused. When I had skated before with Jake, he just let me fall on my butt every time. Within a half an hour, I was usually so sore and achy, I just gave up. Liam was a much better skating partner than my brother. See, now you're having fun. Liam laughed, brushing the ice crystals off his back and grabbing me again. We managed to skate all the way around 3 times before I fell again. I really was getting better. After what seemed like forever, the rink was starting to get busier and my stomach was growling. I was falling less and less often, but I was still holding his hands in a death grip. What's the time? I asked casually as we stopped by the side of the rink. First period must be nearly over, surely. Yeah. Liam reached into his pocket and pulled out a cell phone. As he looked at it, he sucked in air through his pearly white teeth, making a hissing sound. Angel, school's going to be over in an hour, he said, wincing. My body jerked in shock that I had skipped a full day. We were only supposed to miss first period. What? I practically screamed. He flinched at my outburst, and I lost my balance again. His eyes widened as he gripped my upper arms and slammed me into the plastic side of the rink, pressing his body against mine tightly to keep me on my feet. His face was merely an inch from mine. His breath blew across my lips, and my heart started to race again. He didn't move. He just stood there, staring at my eyes until I started to feel a little lightheaded. Suddenly, I realized it was because I wasn't breathing. So I sucked in a ragged breath, which seemed to snap him out of it. He gulped and pulled back, leaving his hands on my hips as support. We'd better get going. If your brother finds out I've been out with you all day, he'll cut my balls off, he suggested with mock horror. I chuckled and nodded in agreement. You wouldn't take Jake too kindly to the knowledge that I'd skipped school all day. Instead, holding my hands to help me to the side, he just continued to hold my waist, skating backwards as he pulled me along. I didn't know what to do with my hands, so I put them on his shoulders. As I started to fall again, he bent down and scooped me up into his arms, gripping one of his forearms firmly under my ass, and forced my thighs around his waist with his other hand. He turned on the spot and skated forwards, fast, carrying me as if I weighed nothing at all. It was quite scary, actually. I gasped and threw my arms around his neck, pressing myself into him as tightly as I could, probably choking the life out of him, but he didn't complain. Instead, getting off at the exit like I was expecting, he skated around the whole rink again before finally walking off the ice and plopping me on the bench. I frowned in confusion. What the heck was that about? Why did you do that? I asked. Feeling a little uncomfortable, I had just had my whole body wrapped around his. I didn't know why. I felt uncomfortable about it, though. His body was wrapped around mine every night. Do what, Angel? He asked, looking confused. He pointed to the ice. I pointed to the ice. Skate around again. Why didn't you just get off at the exit? You skated past it, I explained, confused. He shifted uncomfortably on his feet as he shrugged. but his unease had gone as quickly as it came and was replaced with his usual make all the girls melt smirk. You slowed me down the whole time. I just wanted to make one lap where all I could skate forward. That's all. Yeah. Guilt washed over me because he had to baby me the whole time. Why don't you just go on and skate some? I'll sit here. It's fine. You should go and You should go and have some fun too, I suggested, giving him a half smile. He grinned. I had a lot of fun. His expression looked completely honest. He stood and nodded off to the side. I'll go get your shoes. On the way back to school, he pulled into the McDonald's drive-thru. Hi, can I take your order? The speaker crackled. Yeah. Can I get a Big Mac meal with a Coke and a quarter pounder with cheese meal with a strawberry milkshake? And do you do those cheese melt things? Liam asked. Yeah, we do. The speaker answered. He grinned. A pack of those too then, please. The whole time he was speaking, I just stared at him, shocked. He had just ordered my food for me, knowing exactly what I'd want without asking me. As the speaker told him to drive to the second window, he turned back to smile at me. His smile fell off of his face to be replaced by a frown. What are you looking at me like that for? Did I get it wrong? He asked, already pressing the button on his door to unroll his window to change the order. I shook my head, looking at him in amazement. How did you know what I have? He laughed and rolled his eyes as if I'd said something stupid. You always have the same thing, Angel. And you love those disgusting cheese things too. And they don't do them all the time, so... He trailed off, shrugging as he put the car into drive and rolled to the next window. The confusion was back again. First, he knew my shoe size. Now he knows what I order at McDonald's. Of course, I'd probably been here with him 100 times over the years, but still, even Jake couldn't remember my order. This is like if PETA was a fucking whore. I swear to God. Like a little man whore. Liam laughed at my confused face as he paid for the food and plopped the bags into my lap before pulling into the empty space in the parking lot so we could eat it. While we ate, he was chatting openly about some concert he wanted to go to and some movie that he saw the previous week, and he said would have scared the life out of me. I was pleasantly surprised how easy it was to talk with him. I had never spent much time with him on my own before. He was usually always with Jake or a load of the boys, or had some skink draped all over him, or we were asleep. He was actually an extremely nice and funny guy. I wouldn't help but wonder why he hid this incredible personality behind this man-whore, male chauvinistic pig attitude. He should be like this more often. Can I ask you something, Angel? He asked, looking at me seriously. I nodded, finishing the rest of my milkshake, making a loud slurp. He twisted in his seat, cocking his head to his side. Don't you trust me? How could you think I would hurt you earlier at school? I've had plenty of opportunities to touch you or to force you into something over the last 8 years, haven't I? Why would you think I would hurt you? His tone was really sad. I realized how much I had hurt him earlier. He had clearly taken it to heart. I frowned and took a deep breath. You just took me by surprise, that's all. I do trust you, honestly. I know you wouldn't hurt me. It's just hard for me. I don't like people touching me. I frowned, not wanting to talk about it. No one ever pushed me for details from what used to go on with my father. I refused to go to therapy after he left. My mom and Jake had tried to talk me into it, but I just didn't want anyone to know. Girl, go to therapy. Girl, go to therapy. Girl, go to therapy. I don't care if you don't want anybody else to know. They've probably heard 10 times worse things from other people. Just go to therapy. It's better for you. Okay, go to therapy. I was ashamed of it and what he used to make me do. No one ever forced me to talk about it, though, and I loved them even more for it. Liam reached out, closing his hands over mine. I know you don't, but I would never hurt you. I need you to know that, he said, rubbing circles in the back of my hand. I gulped and nodded. His hurt and sad expression actually made my stomach ache. I wanted to make him feel better, but I didn't actually know how. The only thing I could do was tell him the truth. I looked out the windshield, focusing my attention on a brown bag that was blowing along in the wind, so I wouldn't have to look at him as I spoke. Liam, when people touch me, my heart beats too fast, and I start to feel sick and dizzy. All I can think about is my dad and what he used to do. It's my body's natural reaction. It's not something I have control over. The only people it doesn't happen with are my mom, Jake, and you. I'm really sorry if I upset you, but I can't help it. I do trust you, though, I promise. The car filled with silence, and he obviously thought about what I'd said. Finally, he spoke. Okay, good. I smiled weakly, closing my eyes gratefully. He was letting it go of it so easily instead of questioning me about it further. He knew I didn't like to talk about what went on. It was better buried deep inside me than out in the open. Really, no, wrong, but okay. Girl, no. Come on then, let's get back before your brother has the attack dogs waiting to rip my throat out, he suggested, chuckling. I settled back into my seat as he drove back to the school. We pulled onto the school parking lot 5 minutes before final bell. Angel, it's probably best not to mention today to your brother. Not supposed to hang out with you, he said, shrugging. Not supposed to hang out with me? What does that mean? Why aren't you? His bright blue eyes met mine again as a smile twitched at the corner of his lips. Jake said so, on account of me being a disgusting man whore, as you so often put it. Apparently, I just want to tap your very fine ass. His genuine smile turned into a cocky smirk that I knew so well. Which I would be more than happy to do, if you want, as payment for that skating lesson, he teased, winking at me. I gasped, knowing that the nice day I just spent with him is now over. He'd been different all day, and then he had to ruin it all with one sentence. You really are a pig sometimes, you know that? I growled. I shoved the door open and climbed out, then slammed it shut as hard as I could. I scowled angrily as I stomped off in the direction of the math building, which is where I was supposed to be for last period. From the corner of my eye, I saw Jake making his way toward Liam's car. I sighed and leaned up towards the tree, giving him a minute before I headed back to the car, too, so he wouldn't get suspicious. Annoyance was bubbling up inside me that Liam had just ruined a perfectly lovely day by changing into the guy I despised again. When I could put it off no longer, I trudged back to the car. Jake grinned as I climbed into the back seat. Hey, Ams. You have a good day? I nodded, clipping my seatbelt. Actually, yeah, I did, right up until the very end when some slut hit on me. I answered, shrugging. Jake immediately reached out and slapped Liam in the back of the head. Ouch! Shit! What was that for? Liam asked, rubbing his head. For hitting on my little sister. Jake shrugged. How did you know it was me? Liam whined. I giggled as Liam shot me a dirty look. As Liam shot me a dirty look in the mirror. Jake cleared his throat. Ams, seeing as it's Friday, I groaned, knowing instantly what it was about. His weekly tradition. No parties. Come on, Jake. Seriously? Does it have to be at our house every week? There isn't even a game tonight. It was supposed to be an after-game party. Come on. Can't someone else have it for a week so I don't have to clear up after your drunken idiot friends? I asked, glaring at Liam again. Liam held up one hand in protest. Hey, don't bring me into this. I always help clear up. Hi, Mason. Welcome in. I sighed, defeated. My brother hosted a party at our house almost every Friday night. Because we had no parental supervision. I didn't know why. After all this time, I bothered to whine about it. It happened regardless of whether I liked it or not. Instead of answering, I just pulled out my iPod, tucking my earphones into my ears and turning up the music to drown out the conversation that the boys were having about which girls they were going to screw tonight. All the way home, Liam tried to make eye contact with me in the mirror, but I just ignored him, pretending to be completely lost in the song. Okay, let's see. Can we make it one more chapter and then have it be done? Oh yeah, we can do that. Yeah. Oh, that's not that bad. We could do that. Yeah. So we'll make it to chapter 5. Okay. So there's a lot of words, and these pages are really like it's just like there's lots of information, and I'm being sassy with it. So all right. Chapter 4. After dinner, Jake and Liam went out and bought some drinks for the party from a friend of theirs. With the house empty, I took the opportunity to have a nice long bath, making myself feel relaxed and refreshed. The thought of another party hung over my head like a gray thundercloud. They never got too wild or anything like that, but they would last until 2 or 3 in the morning. On top of the lack of sleep, they would always be a huge mess to clean up in the morning, both inside and out. When the boys came back with their illegal booze buying trip and started clattering around downstairs, I climbed out of the bath, knowing my piece was over. I sighed, wrapped myself in a towel, and as I stepped out of the bathroom, I walked straight into a hard body. I squealed as I stumbled. Liam's hand shot out, gripping my waist and steadying me. I scowled at him, clutching my towel tighter around my body as I tried to calm my shocked heart. Wow, like the outfit, he teased, looking me up and down slowly. I huffed and slapped his hands away, storming off to my bedroom, silently wishing I had chosen to have a shower in my ensuite rather than a bath in the family bathroom. I growled in frustration and slammed the door closed behind me, leaning against it. As soon as the door closed, he knocked. "What, Liam?" I snapped. The door handle rattled, and so I pressed against the door harder so he couldn't open it. "Angel, open the door, please." "Liam, will you just go away? Seriously, I'm not dressed." I frowned and stopped my foot, then immediately blushed and thanked my lucky stars he was outside the door, so he hadn't seen that. "Please?" he begged. I sighed, defeated. I hate it when he used that voice on me. That was his nighttime voice, and the one I had trouble saying no to. I wrenched the door open, and he smirked at me casually, strutted into the room. "Well, what do you want?" I asked nastily. I stepped to my drawers and found my favorite t-shirt of Liam's that I had found in the wash, pulled it on, being careful to keep the towel wrapped tightly around me. "Hey, I was wondering where that shirt went." Nodding at my body, I gasped and immediately thinking he was going to ask for it back. This was my favorite shirt. I put it on whenever I felt like lounging around the house. It was the most comfortable thing I ever wore. "You're not getting it back. I love this shirt," I stated, waving my arm in a dismissive gesture. He grinned, letting his gaze drop to my legs. "Fair enough. It looks better on you than it does me, anyway." I sighed in exasperation. Why does he have to be such a flirt? "Seriously, what do you want?" I repeated, walking over to the door and putting my hand on the handle, ready to kick him out if he made any more flirty comments. He shrugged, dropping an overnight bag onto my bed. I just wanted to drop my stuff off. Change of clothes and things for tomorrow, seeing as I'll be here tonight. "You couldn't just pass it to me instead of coming in here?" I asked angrily. Why did he have to make everything so difficult? I could have done, but then I would have missed the pleasure of your hot ass in my t-shirt. It's seriously sexy when a girl wears your man's clothes. You are not her man. He replied, letting his eyes wander down my body again. I wrenched the door open and glared at him. "You are not my man, so get the hell out." I hissed. "Whatever you say, Angel," he chuckled and sauntered past me without another word. Once again alone, I dried my hair off, straightened it, and applied a tiny amount of makeup. I slipped on some midnight blue lacy underwear and then stood there looking through my closet. I didn't want to go for too many layers tonight. Parties at our house were incredibly hot. Liam and Jake practically invited the whole school, and everyone crammed in, making it sweaty and uncomfortable. A pair of black shorts caught my eye, and I smiled as I pulled them out, deciding to pair them with a dark blue tank top. After I pulled them on, completing the outfit with a long silver necklace and some strappy silver heels, I looked at myself in the mirror. I had to admit, I was pretty happy with the look for once. I had a nice figure, not too skinny, but curvy in all the right places. I took after my mother, so I had long, curvy hips, so the shorts accentuated that. I smiled. I wasn't the most attractive girl around, but like everyone else, I had my insecurities and things I want to change about myself. But for once, I didn't feel the need to hide in jeans. I knew that Jake wouldn't like my outfit, though. It probably showed too much skin for his liking, even though I was entirely covered compared to the girls him and Liam were used to hanging around with. Thank you for the raid, Polo. Thank you. Oh, you want to collaborate? Are you sure you want to collaborate? Are you sure? Polo, hello, welcome. You want to collaborate? Is that really is that something you meant to do, or are you just trying to come and chill out? Oh, do you actually want to come? Do you want to collaborate? It expires in 40 seconds. Let me know. I'm just reading though. I don't know if you what is that? How does that work? Preview. What is that? How does this work? I'm so confused. No, that just gives me, how does this, hello, welcome in, Raiders. I'm so sorry. Do you actually want me to accept it, Polo? Yes or no? You have 15 seconds. 10 seconds. No, don't. Okay, I'll decline it. Hi, Billy. Welcome in. Welcome. Hello, welcome in, Raiders. Hi, Polo. How is Overwatch? How is Pew Pew? How was Pew Pew? Did you have fun? How was Pew Pew? You're a liar. You tried to bug me with it. That's okay. It's okay. It's okay. Yeah, both of you and I have talked about how much we do not like this knock feature. So the fact that you used it, I was like, thank you, Big Dan, very much for the follow. Thank you. Games were fun but rough. Oh, I'm sorry. You can keep the window open if you thank you very much, Rec, for the follow. I really appreciate it. Thank you so much. I really appreciate it. We are reading The Boy Who Sneaks in My Bedroom Window. Very sassy book, but is actually really sweet and does have a little bit of a trigger warning if you have any sort of abuse or SA sort of stuff. But yeah, it's sassy, not sexy, sassy, sassy, because I'm sassy. So yeah, I'm pretty good at reading the book. But yes, welcome in, Raiders. My name is Azura the Moon Mage. I'm an interdimensional witch being from another universe, sent here to cause chaos, do research, and I play games while I'm at it. And actually, I am reading a bedtime story. We are on the last chapter before I end here, so I have about let's see if I can math today. So I have about 12 pages left, and then we'll go ahead and see who else we can find here. But thank you very much for the first time chat, Big Dan. Thank you very much. Thank you, Sigal Nolat, for the follow. Thank you. I appreciate it. Not you messaging me on Discord. Stop. I can't read that until I'm done. But thank you very much, Polo, for the raid. I really appreciate it. We are going to be reading some books, some story. So if you guys are ready for it, we are going to continue with this chapter, and we will finish here probably in about the next 20 or so minutes. Thank you very much. I appreciate it. I appreciate it very much. Yeah, so I'm very excited. We're going to continue on. If you guys need to go and get a snack or get something to drink, or you're going to get ready for bed, that's totally fine. I actually am totally fine with just you guys. I'm like, you guys just like lay down in your bed and set me up and just like put me on your bedside table and just listen to me read. It's ASMR for a reason. So, but yeah. Thank you guys so much. I really appreciate it. Paul is a really, really good friend of mine. So I appreciate him and his community anytime they come along. So thank you guys so much. I'm going to continue on here. Any questions, of course, leave it in chat. I'll try to get to them. But let's continue here. To update chatters who are just coming in, we have you gotta go working out of town for the next few days. Sounds good. I will talk to you later, Polo. I will talk to you later. All right. I will see you soon. Bye-bye. All right. So basically, we're talking about this girl, Amber. Her dad was not so nice. He's kind of abusive, not going to lie. So she grew up in not so nice of a childhood. And basically, one night while she was crying in her room, her brother's best friend, aka their neighbor, his window looks in to her bedroom, and he saw her crying. So he went in one night to comfort her, and it became a regular thing after that for like 8 years or so. So they started when she was about 8, and now she's 16, and he's 2 years older, so that would make him 18, so a senior in high school. And right now, it is Friday night, which apparently means at Amber and Jake's house, which is Amber's brother, they have parties. And so they're getting ready for a party. That's where we are. Okay, let's see. Where were we? I sat on my bed, reading for an hour until I knew that the party would be in full swing. Oh, sorry. I've skipped a couple sentences. I knew that Jake wouldn't like my outfit though. It's like shorts and a tank top. It probably showed too much skin for his liking, even though I was entirely covered. And compared to the girls he and Liam were used to hanging around with, I looked like a nun. I briefly considered changing before deciding against it. It was hot. Besides, no one would pay any attention to me. They never did. I sat on my bed reading for an hour until I knew that the party would be in full swing. That way, Jake would never be able to go and tell me to change in front of everyone and embarrass me. As I inched out of my room and made my way down the hall, I saw Jake in the kitchen. He was talking animatedly with a couple of his friends. As I stepped into the lounge, he noticed me. His eyes narrowed, and he gave a small shake of his head, mouthing the word change to me. I smiled sweetly and shrugged, stepping amongst the group of partygoers, hoping to get lost in the crowd. Sean, one of my friends, was standing on his own, holding 3 cups of drink, and looking a little bored. "Hey, Sean," I chirped, stepping to the side. His eyes shot up, and his mouth popped open in shock. "Amber, you do realize you're showing your legs," he joked. I chuckled and clicked the heels of my shoes together, looking down at my semi-exposed legs. "Yeah, decided to wear something other than jeans for a change," I answered. "Where's Kate and Sarah?" "Why do you have 3 drinks?" I asked, nodding at his full hands. "They're trying for your brother," he replied, nodding in the direction of the kitchen. "Which is also the reason why I'm holding their drinks." He chuckled. I turned and looked into the kitchen, seeing Jake and Sarah both giggling uncontrollably at something Jake had said. Kate had her hand on his arm, and Sarah was pressed up against his side. Jake looked completely uninterested, but he was clearly enjoying the attention, the same as always. He used the two of them hanging on his every word after all of these years. He was used to the two of them hanging on his every word after all of these years. Whenever they came to my house, they would flirt with him shamelessly, and he would walk around topless, chuckling at their lustful expressions. It was just a game that would never really go anywhere. I rolled my eyes and turned my attention back to Sean. No Terry tonight? I asked. Scanning for the room for her. Arms suddenly wrapped around me from behind, pulling me back against a hard body. I let out a little squeal before the person spoke, and I realized it was Liam. You look incredible, but I definitely preferred the towel, he whispered seductively in my ear. His hot breath tickled down my neck, making me shiver. I could smell the subtle tang of beer on his breath, but he never got drunk. Jake did. But Liam always seemed to remain the one in control in case things got out of hand. Get bent, I growled, shrugging him off, turning away to the kitchen. I still hadn't had even a drink. Hey, Angel, wait for me, Liam called, and grabbing my hand as I continued to weave through the crowd, people making out and grinding against each other. That is high school for you. When I got to the kitchen, I was greeted by the sight of a girl stretched out across my kitchen counter and two boys doing shots off her body. I recognized the girl easily by her red hair and lack of clothing. Jessica. She let out an excited screech as we walked in. Liam! Come on, baby, do a body shot, she enthused. Liam's hand tightened on mine as he looked down at me with a puppy dog begging eyes. I chuckled wickedly because he was clearly asking for help, so he wouldn't have to talk to her. I didn't blame him, really. She did stalk him, of sorts. I gave him a little push towards her and grinned smugly. Go on, Liam. Go give the girl what she wants. You know you want to do a body shot, I teased. For a second, he truly looked horrified as Jessica nodded enthusiastically and held out a bottle of tequila towards him. But then he regained his composure, took a hold of my hips, hoisting me quickly and setting me up on the counter. I gasped as he stepped between my legs, putting his face inches from mine. Actually, I do want to do one. Lie down for me then, Angel. He grinned wickedly, but his eyes were playful, so I knew he was only fooling around. Liam James, get your filthy man-whore hands off me now, I stated, shaking my head. He chuckled, and he shook his head before stepping back and pulling me down from the counter, setting me on my feet again. I turned my back on him and picked up an empty plastic cup. Looking around at the drinks table, I decided that I would have my first taste of alcohol tonight. Why tonight? I don't know. I picked up a bottle of vodka and half filled the cup before adding a generous glug of orange juice to it. Half of the cup with vodka. That's quite a screwdriver. It's giving 2 shots of vodka, you know. I had no idea what to expect, really, but tonight I just needed to drink for a change. I was so tired of always being the timid, broken girl because of what happened to me. Tonight I was going to have a drink, let loose, and maybe I'd even enjoy the party for a change. In another cup, I poured a shot of vodka, raised it to my lips, holding my breath. As it sloshed the back of my throat, I swallowed quickly, and I gagged as I felt it burn all the way down the back of my throat. My eyes watered as an involuntary shudder shook my body. Liam stepped forward, taking the bottle of vodka from my hand and shaking his head in disapproval. Angel, take it easy there, all right? He frowned at my drink. I sniffed and raised my chin. No way. I'm getting wasted tonight, and there's no way I'm tidying up tomorrow. I patted his chest as I walked back to my friends, still feeling the burn of the alcohol in the back of my throat. After a couple of hours, I was pretty drunk. I danced unsteadily, trying not to bump into people by accident. Liam was talking to some of his teammates not too far away and kept glancing at me. He'd been following me around all night, frowning every time I made another drink for myself. Seriously, Liam is checking you out, Kate squealed in my ear for the 5th time. He is not. Don't be stupid, Kate. He's probably just making sure I don't throw up. He's tidying up tomorrow. I finished my drink and I dropped my paper cup on the floor carelessly. I smiled triumphantly as I knew that would be something else for him to clean tomorrow. Payback. I'm going to go get another drink. Girl, you don't need another drink. I shouted over the music. As I was weaving through the lounge again, as the song changed to She's Like a Star by Tao Cruz, Liam's favorite song. Someone grabbed my hand, squeezing me gently. I looked back to see Liam smiling. It again was one of his nice smiles, the real ones. A smile crept onto my lips too in return. Dance with me, Angel. Before I could agree or protest, his arms looped around my waist and pulled me flush against him. I was so drunk at this point, I didn't even care that I was dancing with Liam. I wrapped my arms around him and tucked my face into his neck. He smelled phenomenal, and I wondered if he would taste like if I licked him. Ugh! Wait, did I just think about licking Liam like he was a popsicle or something? I burst out laughing at my own idiocy. Liam pulled back and raised his one eyebrow in question, which made it funnier somehow. He rolled his eyes and shook his head in amusement as he pressed his body back to mine. The song wasn't really a slow song, so we were swaying quite fast and half grinding against each other. I loved dancing, and he was really good at it. Our bodies seemed to fit together perfectly. I could feel him getting aroused, and that didn't bother me. Liam had been pressing his on me since I was 12 and he was 14. He woke up with one every day and most of the time fell asleep with one too. Of course, it was weird the first time it happened. Thoroughly freaked me out. He had gone home that morning so embarrassed that he had almost cried. He'd spoken to his dad about it and then came back the next night, explained that it was normal for boys to have that happen because he was growing and it all had to do with hormones. I didn't know whether it was true or not, but I didn't have any reason to doubt him. It was embarrassing for both of us for about a month or so. Then it was a joke for a while, and now we just ignore it altogether. He pulled back to look at me and give me one of his nice smiles, and my mouth pulled up into a smile in return. He actually looked cute when he smiled like that. Funny how I've only just noted how cute he smiled, yet I've known him forever, I mused. Jake came out of nowhere. Dude, what the fuck? That's my little sister. He shouted at Liam, grabbing his shoulder and jerking him away from me roughly. Liam shook his head in frustration, shoving Jake's hand off his shoulder. Jake, seriously, I'm just dancing with her. That's her song, Liam retorted. Liam, you need to stay away from my sister. She's only 16, for fuck's sake. You know what she's been through. She doesn't need guys like you chasing her around. Jake shouted back, stepping forward and getting in Liam's face. I could tell he was drunk by the slight touch of red on his ears, and they were always the giveaway. I would never hurt her, Liam growled, their chests almost touching. I don't give a shit what you say. Stay away, Jake growled menacingly. I shrugged, shook my head, and decided to resume my earlier plan of getting another drink. I didn't need to witness their fight. I knew they'd make up in a couple of minutes anyway. They always did. As I rounded the corner to the kitchen, I would smack into a guy I didn't know. He was a little older than me, probably Jake's age. Black, shaggy hair flicked on his forehead, almost covering one of his brown eyes. He smiled as he reached out, steadying me as I swayed backwards. I immediately flinched because he was touching me. But the drink had numbed some of my worry and nervousness, so I managed not to have a panic attack and slap his hands off me. Well, hello, he greeted, grinning. Hi, I smiled. He hadn't taken his hands off my waist, so I took a step back to get some personal space. I'm Trent. I noticed when he smiled he had really cute little dimples. Amber, I replied, not looking away from his face. I didn't recognize him from school. You go to Penn State? I asked curiously, as I didn't know him, why I didn't know him if he was at the party. He shook his head and smiled. No, I'm actually here to pick up my little sister, but I can't find her. Oh, yeah? Who's your sister? I questioned, cocking my head to the side, regarding him curiously. I definitely hadn't seen him before. Jessica Sanders, he answered, and I couldn't help my body's natural reaction. I turned my nose up and made a distasteful taste in the back of my throat. He chuckled. Not a big fan of her, huh? He asked. My eyes widened at my own stupidity. Sorry. I mumbled, looking at him apologetically and blushing like crazy. Don't worry about it. I know she can be a pain in the ass. I swallowed. Pain in the ass doesn't quite cover Jessica. So, do you want me to help you find her? I offered, peering into the kitchen. Nah, she'll turn up. How about we get a drink instead? he suggested, nodding towards the drink counter. Drink! Now that's a good plan. I smiled and grabbed 2 cups and a bottle of Jack Daniels. Okay, so that was your first mistake, girl. Don't mix light and dark liquor. Don't do it. Bad things happen. Just for chat. You guys, bad things happen when you mix light and dark liquor. Got it. Good. Don't do that. Not unless you want to have a bad night. The Jack Daniels was even worse than the neat vodka I'd drunk. My throat felt like it was on fire, and I could only manage to choke down 1 shot. I was extremely intoxicated by that point, so I leant against him heavily as we chatted and laughed about random stuff that didn't even make sense to me. Oh. Suddenly, he pushed me against the kitchen counter and pressed his body against mine as he smiled seductively at me. The familiar panic started immediately as my heart rate increased. His head was inching towards mine. My mouth went dry as my eyes widened in horror. Holy crap, he's going to kiss me. Do I want that? What if he puts his hands on me or something? My mind was spinning through the thoughts as fast as I couldn't help keeping up with them all. When his breath blew across my lips, I gasped and pulled my head away sharply, yelping at the back of my head connected with the cupboard behind me. My eyes watered as my body started to shake. Trent frowned, seeming a little bemused, before he closed the distance and pressed his lips to mine. I whimpered and put my arms between us, pushing him away. But he didn't move. Instead, his hand went to the back of my head, holding it still as his tongue touched my lip. I clamped my mouth shut tightly and shoved with all of my might, but he still wouldn't budge an inch. The panic attack took over completely as that horrifying out of control, being forced into something I didn't want feeling came rushing back to me again. My skin crawled as the feeling of being dirty and soiled made me feel so ashamed of myself that I wanted to jump in the shower and scrub myself clean. After my father had left, it had taken me a long time to not feel disgusting and dirty. And with one kiss of this boy, he brought it all back to me in an instant. Suddenly, he was gone. Through my tear-filled eyes, I saw Liam pinning the guy against the wall. His arm was across the guy's throat as he shouted in his face, "You don't fucking touch her! What do you think, you can just waltz in here and kiss her even though she's plainly didn't want it?" Liam spat. I started to feel sick. Literally started to feel sick. I pushed myself away from the counter and staggered to the bedroom to my ensuite. To the ensuite just beyond. I had barely made it to the toilet before I threw up what it felt like several liters of vodka. I groaned, holding my stomach as I flushed before moving to sit back on the floor with my eyes closed. A hand touched my back, rubbing it softly. I didn't freak out, though. I already knew it was Liam because of his cologne. "You all right?" he asked, his voice sympathetic, but I couldn't answer. I just leant over the toilet and threw up another bottle of vodka. While I was sick, Liam rubbed my back in small circles and held my hair out of the way for me. After a few minutes of dry heaving because there was nothing left to come out, I felt a lot better. "You want to go to bed?" Liam asked. I nodded and swiped my eyes at the back of my hand. Clearly, my first drinking experience had been a disaster. "Yeah, I just want to brush my teeth." I struggled to get off the bathroom floor, but I was so uncoordinated it didn't work out well. Liam smiled and bent down, slipping his arms under me and picking me up easily. He sat me down on the unit next to the sink, grabbed my toothbrush, and put some toothpaste on it for me. I smiled weakly and brushed my teeth, making sure all of the alcohol taste was gone. "Bed?" he offered when I was done. I nodded, and he picked me up bridal style and carried me to the bedroom. He pulled back the covers and was just about to put me in when I remembered I was still in my party clothes. "Wait. I don't want to go to bed like this," I mumbled, looking down at my shorts and my tank top. Still had my jewelry and my shoes on, too. He nodded, set me down on my feet, but I could barely stand, and I felt myself sway as my leg threatened to give out on me. Liam wrapped one arm around my waist, holding me up as he pulled my necklaces off me. I got a hold of the bottom of my top and pulled it over my head, but I managed to get tangled in the process. I giggled, closed my eyes as I wriggled, trying to get free. Liam sighed and gave me a little push and caused me to fall back on the bed. I squeaked, still giggling as he untangled my hair from my clothes and pulled it off of me. When I looked up at him, I saw an amused smile plastered on his face. I grinned and flopped him on my back, unbuttoning my shorts and raising my hips to start to push them down. Liam took a hold of them, pulling them the rest of the way down after I shimmied them down over my thighs. I didn't really feel self-conscious as I pushed my foot onto his chest. Take my shoes off for me, I whined, pouting. He laughed and took a hold of my ankle, sliding one shoe off and then the other. Nice, he muttered. His eyes roamed my body slowly as his trademark smirk covered his face, but I didn't care. I just laid there, giggling until my stomach lurched again. I gasped, covering my mouth quickly as I tried to sit up. Quick as lightning, he picked me up again and carried me back to the bathroom, holding my hand and rubbing my back while I emptied my stomach for the umpteenth time. After I'd brushed my teeth again, Liam slipped off his t-shirt and pulled it over my head. There's another one to add to your t-shirt collection, he said, smiling easily. His arm wrapped around me as it helped me stagger back to bed and climb in. He smiled and walked off towards the door. I thought he was going to leave and go back to the party, but he didn't. He just locked the door, slipped off his jeans, and climbed into the bed next to me. Liam's arms encircled me as he pulled me against his chest. I smiled and closed my eyes. The music and laughter will still come from the lounge and reminded me of what just happened. Someone had just kissed me. My chin wobbled as my insides squirmed and the tears are finally starting. What's wrong, Angel? Liam cooed, stroking the side of my face softly. That jerk stole my first proper kiss, I wailed. Unexpectedly, Liam burst out laughing. I frowned, shaking my head angrily. It's not funny. A girl's first kiss is important to her. Just because you're some kind of super slut who doesn't care, probably doesn't even remember his first kiss, doesn't even mean that these little things aren't important. I slapped him angrily. Angel, calm down. He didn't steal your first kiss, he said sternly, looking right into my eyes. Like it always did when Liam looked at me like that, my body seemed to take on that weightlessness. I could do anything feeling. What are you talking about? He did. He just kissed me and stole it. I croaked, a tear falling from my eye. He wiped it away with his thumb and shook his head. Yes, he did just kiss you. But that wasn't your first kiss. I had that a long time ago, he explained. One side of his mouth pulled up into a small smile as he pushed my hair back over my shoulder. I recoiled, frowning, trying to look back. He nodded, his expression confident. You don't remember when I hurt myself falling out in a tree in my front yard? I was 13. My legs hurt so frickin' badly. You asked what you could do to make the pain go away. He closed his eyes and shook his head at the memory, with a small smile playing on the corner of his lips. I gasped as it all came rushing back to me. He had hurt his leg, and he asked me to kiss him to take his mind off it. I kissed him twice, actually, because he had told me that the first one, that it still hurt, and he'd asked me to kiss him again. During the second kiss, Jake had come out of the house and caught us. He punched Liam in the face for it. My eyes widened in surprise. How did I forget that? Liam had my first kiss. I wasn't sure how to feel about it. I remembered it was actually nice at the time. He was exceptionally sweet that day and was climbing the tree to retrieve my ball that got stuck up there. I guess it was a good thing, because if Liam had my first proper kiss, then it wasn't stolen by some jerk when I was drunk at a party. I smiled at him, and he smiled back. That was my first kiss, too, and I do remember it, he said softly, winking at me teasingly. Well, you've had plenty more since then, and then some, I replied, meaning all of the girls that he slept with. He shrugged. Yeah, but that was still the first and the best, he whispered, kissing the top of my head and pulling his arms tighter around me, tucking my head in the crook of his neck. We just laid there in silence. I didn't know what to say, so I just kept quiet. After a while I was still awake because of the noise coming from the party, it was only 1 o'clock, so I could probably go on for at least another hour. I rolled over to see Liam watching me. You can't sleep either through that, huh? He mused, smiling. I shook my head. Why don't you go back out? Make the most of it. There's no point in both of us lying here awake. I pulled away from him so that he could get out of bed, but he shook his head and pulled me right back to his chest. I'm fine where I am. After another half hour, I raised my head and looked at him. He was asleep and looked peaceful and sweet, and not to mention hot. I never actually looked at him that way. I knew he was gorgeous and had an incredibly toned body, but it never occurred to me to look at him in that way. My eyes wandered over his face, taking everything as if it were the first time. The arch of his eyebrows, his straight nose, his strong jaw, the way his hair fell messily over his forehead, like it had a mind of its own. My eyes moved to his chest. He had an incredible and perfect six-pack. No wonder the girls go crazy for him. How have I never noticed how beautiful he is? I reached out one finger to his stomach and traced the lines of his muscles, just wondering what they would feel like. He shivered. I'm feeling a little violated, he stated. I gasped and jumped, snatching my hand quickly away as I burst out laughing. Busted. Big time. Welcome to my world. You make me feel like that all the time, I shrugged. I suppose I do. Sorry, he said casually. Immediately, I wondered why he wasn't like this all the time. If he was then, I would probably be in love with him like every girl was. Hey, seeing as we can't go to sleep, how about we play a game? He suggested, sounding excited about it. I rolled my eyes, trying not to imagine the stupid games he would come up with. I'm not playing a game with you. It'll be something like a strip game, or something else crude that'll involve you seeing me naked, I answered, frowning and pouting. Sorry. He laughed and gripped a hold of my pouty bottom lip between his thumb and forefinger. Don't pout, Angel. If the wind changes, you'll get stuck like that, he joked, rubbing his thumb along my lip. The movement made my mouth water for some reason. I stuck out my tongue and licked his thumb jokingly, expecting him to pull it away and say it was disgusting. He didn't. Instead, he made a little moan in the back of his throat, and that sound made something deep inside in me tingle and throb. He moved his head closer to mine, his eyes firmly locked on my mouth. I couldn't breathe. My mouth stuttered in my chest, but it wasn't the usual fear I had. It was because he was going to kiss me, and strangely, I wanted him to. He stopped with his mouth millimeters from mine. He seemed to be waiting for me to give him a sign it was okay. My skin prickled with longing. He was so close, and I could practically feel his warmth of his lips on mine. His eyes flicked to mine, asking for permission silently. The need to be kissed by him was overwhelming as my palms started to get clammy. I gulped noisily and closed the distance, pressing my lips to his lightly. It almost felt like he gave me a shock. My whole body started to tingle and throb with the need for him to deepen the kiss, to devour me, to show me what it's supposed to feel like when a man kissed a woman. 1,000 butterflies seemed to take flight in my stomach, but I knew it wasn't because of the alcohol. He responded immediately, pulling me closer to him and rubbing his hands down my neck. I raised my arms and lopped them around his neck, tangling my fingers in his silky brown hair. His lips were soft and fit mine perfectly. When he sucked lightly at my bottom lip, I opened my mouth, not quite knowing what to expect with my first proper kiss. He slipped his tongue in my mouth and massaged mine slowly, tenderly. The taste of him was amazing as he explored my entire mouth. My whole body was burning, wanting more. I moaned into his mouth and lost myself in the sensations and just let all my insecurities and worries fly out the window. His kissing made me feel whole and beautiful. He rolled slightly, propping himself up on an elbow as he kissed me as if it was the last thing he would ever do. Suddenly, he pulled away. I whimpered, wonder if I'd done it wrong. He clamped his hand over my mouth, and he looked towards the door with wide eyes. Shout that you're fine, he whispered. I looked at him confused. Amber, open the door, Jake shouted, banging loudly, making the door rattle. Liam nodded encouragingly and took his hand off my mouth. I cleared my throat quickly. Jake, I'm fine. I'm tired, so go away, I shouted, trying to make my voice sound angry. Ams, have you seen Liam? He asked through the door. It's a little sus. It's only a little sus. You guys will get the fuck over it, all right? You guys, I put 50 Shades of Grey on there and somebody voted for it. That's a sussy book, okay? It's just teenagers. Chill out. It's fine. Thank you for the Hydrate King. Thank you. Thank you for the posture check and the stretch. Hold on, let me stretch. Little stretch. 50 Shades of Grey would have been teasing the line with Twitch. Yeah. This is just a couple of teenagers making out. Chill out, y'all. It's fine. My mouth popped open in shock. I looked back to Liam horrified. What on earth was I supposed to say to that? Yeah, actually, he's in bed with me, half naked. Just had his tongue down my throat. Now, can you go away? You're interrupting. That probably wouldn't have gone down too well with my overprotective big brother. I went home, Liam whispered. Yeah, that's why. I mean, it's not. I don't know. It's fine. It's fine. It's fine. He said he was going home, Jake. No, go away, I shouted, biting my lip, hoping he'd buy it. Liam bent his head back down and touched his soft lips back to mine, pulling away with a sigh when Jake shouted again. Amber, are you okay? You sound a little strange. I giggled. Yeah, I got sick, so I came to bed, but I'm fine now. I'll see you in the morning. Oh, and by the way, I'm not cleaning up, so you need to do it all, I teased, smiling at the thought of him cleaning up the house on his own. Whatever, Ams. We both know you're going to help me anyway, he replied, laughing. I looked back at Liam, who smiled his beautiful smile at me before dipping his head and pressing his lips against mine again. The feeling of euphoria came back instantly. His hand slowly slipped his tongue back into my mouth, his taste exploding into my taste buds. When his hand reached the bottom of my t-shirt I was wearing and slipped underneath, caressed my thigh before grabbing my hip and guiding me onto my back. He maneuvered himself on top of me, pressing me down onto the soft mattress with his weight. His hand traced the back of my leg, and his fingers curled around the back of my knee as he gently hitched my leg up over his hip. He moaned into my mouth as he pressed himself against me harder, blanketing his body with mine. The air in the room seemed to get thicker and hotter as the kiss consumed me entirely. When his other hand found his way under my t-shirt, tickling his way around my stomach, I snapped back to reality. This is way too fast. You're serious, man? I'm glad I read manhwa and manga romance. It's much less sus than casual. What do you mean? No, it's not. No, it's not. Manhwa? No. I turned my head to the side and gasped, putting my hand on top of his to halt's seemingly eager quest to get to my chest. He pulled back, looking down at me worriedly. Sorry, I got carried away. Too fast, right? He asked, looking a little guilty. I nodded, panting to try and get my breath and cool my body back down. He removed his hand from my top, rolling off of me. That's okay, Angel. Let's just get some sleep then, he suggested, smiling broadly. He shifted, settling his back and raising one arm to the side as an invitation for me to go to him. I frowned, more than a little confused by what had just happened, but moved to him anyway. When I tried to work out how and why that had just happened, I put my head on his chest and snuggled into his side. His arms wrapped around me, and the other hand searched and found mine, interlacing our fingers. His lips grazed the top of my head as I closed my eyes, feeling happier, but certainly more confused than I had been for a long time. Just before I fell asleep, I had a horrible feeling that this would be a mistake that I would end up paying for tomorrow. After all, I had just made out with my brother's best friend, who was a total man whore, and who only cared about himself. All right. That is chapter 5, and I promised that we would be done. Honestly, they're just really cute and sometimes really sad. Oh, well, I guess that sometimes if you're saying the ones that you read are sometimes like that. The manhwa that I'm used to seeing, I don't really read it all that much, is sussy at best and like downright like smutty at worst. So all right, let's see. Go like this. Oop. And like that. All right, cool. No, this is cute. This is cute. I like it. I think it's cute. Nah, I think this book is really, I think that's really cute. Because it's like, she's like doing it with somebody that she trusts. Like, she just had like a terrible experience, but she's going to wake up the next morning and be like, oh my God, what did I do when I was drunk? You know, just like every high school teenager. I think it's very cute. All right. Let's see what we got going here. All right, so that will end our stories for today. Yeah, it's okay. This is not that sussy. It's really not. Like they're just chilling. They're just chilling. Let's see. Okay. I think we're gonna raid into Zeki. Zeki is also doing like his Stardew sort of thing. And that his voice is very ASMR, so it's a pretty good. Don't worry, we'll pick it back up next week. It'll be fine. You'll be fine. But he's BRB right now. So, but yeah, I mean, I hope you guys enjoyed. Thank you very much for the head pats, King. Thank you, thank you. I hope you guys enjoyed. Yes, a little, intimate-ish, but it was just kissing. Okay, it's okay. He's just giving me a little kiss. It's fine. Nothing sussy actually happens. Okay. And plus, like, she deserves it. Her dad was a freaking bitch ass motherfucker. Like, he was a terrible person. So she deserves a little happiness as far as I'm concerned. It's the feeling. It's a feeling in your body. It's not like anything happening. It's like it's you're feeling feelings in your body, somatically, I guess. So, like, somebody feeling heartbreak, you can feel heartbreak somatically, as well as the butterflies in your stomach are more of like, like something that your crush makes you feel. And like the holding hands was lewd. Dang, holding hands, lewd. Yeah, you're right, Raccoon. So sus. Holding hands. How dare they? How dare they hold hands? Yeah. No, I try and dance around the one thing where they talk about like, the morning wood and stuff like that, like cuz they do like touch on that a couple of times. So I try and dance around that fact. But no, it's basically the feeling that she's saying are the somatic feelings coming along with like desire, and like I don't even know how else to explain it. I guess just desire in general. So like even when you can't place the feeling yourself, like being like, happy makes me feel like this. Sad makes me feel like this, like in my body. Like she can't really place the feeling yet because she's, has never had this feeling before. So I wouldn't particularly call it lewd. Like I said, like if we started talking about like parts of bodies and stuff, then yeah, like maybe a little bit. I definitely get that. But I wouldn't say her describing the somatic feeling of desire as being like lewd. or suggestive, I guess. Okay. He's back. All right, you guys. Let's go ahead and we are going to raid out to Zeki. Let's make sure. I wish I was suggestive. It's okay. Maybe you can I don't know, reading books sometimes helps, question mark. Are we talking about being like having Riz? Because I just learned that from reading books and watching movies and just, being sassy, Absolutely. Thank you very much, everybody, for coming in. We're going to go like that. The raid has been created to go out to Zeki, my really good friend. We're going to give him all our love and support, you guys. He's a very, very cute little bean. And he's playing Stardew Valley today. So let's go ahead and give him all of the loves and support. That is the raid message, you guys. I also am going to leave my Discord as well as my socials here for you. Just in case you wanted to join the Discord server, and or follow me on Twitter, on Instagram, and on YouTube. I am very excited to be able to do this next week. Next weekend, I believe I will do again, probably on Sunday. So look forward to that. I will also probably be doing a couple of streams this week, including Thursday Stardew Valley stream with Raccoon, of course, Raccoon the dog. So be sure to tune in, look out for that schedule. Hopefully it'll be coming out tomorrow. But before we leave you guys, I want to make sure that you are eating your food. Make sure that you are drinking your water, and make sure that you are getting all the sleep, okay? Because it is the most important. And above everything else, you guys, stay magical, okay? All right, we're going to go say hi to Zeki, you guys. Let's give him all our love. Okay, goodbye.